All right, wonderful. We should be live. Twitch should be catching us up here in a moment. We do have a delay, but we should be live. So, for everyone that's in chat with us right now, I believe we're also simulcasting over to YouTube as well. Chairgot? Yes. Okay, cool. We're also live on YouTube as well, if that's your preferred platform to watch us. There was a comment about that earlier today in chat, so there you go. We are on live on YouTube. So, this is the Weird Cast. We were asked by the TOs to do a list review, and well, damn it, we're going to do a list review. I got the San Antonio guys guest hosting with this. Not everyone on the team could make it, but I got some of the best people to do it with me. So, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself? We'll start with Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick. Pretty much, I'm the Louisiana guy of the Texas guys on Team San Antonio and Team Houston. I write the roasts for the Texas GTs.
He's very good at
Also,
shit
big
talking.
Stormcast player. Yeah.
I guess I'll go up.
I guess more.
Yeah.
Yeah. My name is Maudi. I'm from Sons of Slambo. I'm from New Braunfels, but I like to hang out with the Slambo guys. The Slambo guys are my home. I don't really do much like shit talking, but no, I'll be yelling. Hopefully, on the in the room.
And I'm Ryan Rutherford. I'm also Sons of Slambo, San Antonio resident. Go around to a lot of the Texas tournaments. It's gonna be one of my first tournaments that well, that's not 100% true, but one of the first like the tournaments that's like for a local state tournament that I'm leaving Texas for. It's the
Mhm.
first one in Oklahoma for sure. So I'm excited for it.
Awesome. We got Don with us, one of the TOs. Don is currently engaged, I think, in driving, so we're not going to ask him to engage with us while he's trying to merge. So he'll hop in with us later. Hopefully, and he'll get some comments. But other than that, I think that's everyone. Thank you for everyone in chat with us. We saw that follow as well. Thank you so much for the follow. All right, so we're here to talk about lists, and I think we're doing pre-rolls. Are we doing pre-rolls? Okay.
Joe, not to interrupt you, but what is the name of the event that we're doing the list? I don't think we've said what the name of the event we're doing the list review for is.
It hasn't. We will go over that one once ads run.
Okay.
Thanks,
So,
Joe. I appreciate that. That's like one of the most important things.
right? I wanted to make it a little mysterious. We have that Travis put together such a nice document, and he has the banner up top. I was gonna be like, ah. All right, so we're gonna jump right into it, but let's start talking about the lists for Summergeddon. That is a great
Summergeddon
teams
Super
event.
Squad Series.
The Super Squad series. It's got 4 S's in it. And once Chairgot brings up the lists, we can start looking at it. There's a wonderful document put together by one of the TOs. All right. It's over here. Boom, there it is. Summergeddon Super Squad Series 2025. Look at that logo.
Very beautiful.
It's a good logo. It's a good logo. I hope it's on dice.
Ooh.
Oklahoma gives out the best dice. I've been winning GTs with some of the dice that they have given me.
I would buy some of those dice.
Right. All right. So let's go down to our first team. We're gonna do this a little different than our normal list reviews. Instead of kind of going through each list one by one, giving our opinions on the list, we're gonna review each list quickly. Unless there's some kind of crazy outliers that kind of takes us by surprise, we probably won't dive too deeply into any individual list, but we will talk about them as they pertain to like an entire team, because this is a team event and the structure of this is a little bit different than your normal GT. We're going to have captains that are going to be pairing up lists as attackers and defenders. So some lists are going to be built to be incredibly aggressive. Some are going to be built to deny tactics. And a list on the outset may not look good, but it could perform its role within a team composition very well. So we will judge them by the what as they pertain to the whole and not the part,
Mhm.
more than the sum of their parts. So, Chairgrot, why don't you bring us down to a few good vibes, and we can actually kind of get a team captain review and a cool little page that'll show us what they're playing. All right.
All
Trying
right,
to
so
figure out
do
how
you
to do
want to
it.
just do a quick overview of each one?
Yeah, we'll go through them real quick. We'll bang them all out, and then we'll talk about all the lists together at the end of it. So we got a few good vibes. That's going to be our first team, headed by Charles Belt. And I don't think, looking through the list, I don't think there's a single team that's bringing any duplicate armies.
I don't think we're allowed to, right? I don't think we're allowed.
I think
I mean, if we're
Are
not
we?
allowed to, that would make my.
I don't. I'm pretty sure the
If
rules
we
say
were,
you're
we
not
could have
allowed
just
to do
brought
that.
like 4 Stormcasts.
I'm pretty sure specifically they were like, you can't even bring the same mob, like the same war scrolls. So that would make sense.
Damn, I tried to make a good observation. You should read a pack eventually,
Yeah, we should just brought 4
eventually,
Zers.
eventually, people read packs.
right? So we got KO, a little more KO in our in these lists than I thought we would see. Corn, Slave, Stormcast, Seraphon, Git, Soulblight, and OBR. I didn't think we'd see a lot of OBR. I didn't think they fared too well in this new GHB, but we'll see. OBR is the army I don't know anything about, so
Well, the new Mortec are very annoying to deal with. You just give something else -1 rend, which can be really annoying when you're in certain matchups. I don't know if they have it. Checking real
we'll,
quick.
we'll
No,
find out.
this is a very Catacross, Death Riders, Reinforced Morgas, Soul Mason, and the Cohort. So
Yeah,
very aggressive.
it's really the point cuts they got. A lot of armies got
Yeah.
point cuts and went down. The point cuts really helped OBR, in my
Sick.
opinion. A lot more than the Gyran. The Gyran stuff is like fine if you like that kind of build, but I think the big thing that they got was a lot of their pieces that were a little overpriced came down.
Sick. All right, let's jump down to that first list, Chairgrot. We'll go to Austin Stonebreaker and his Soulblight list. All right. So,
Let our Soulblight expert go on that one.
right. Chairgrot's taking his damn time. There we go. All right. So, Austin Stonebreaker, Nagash is a bitch, Prince Vordry for president of Shaiish. That's a hot take. All right. So we got Soulblight, Benecle of Blood. That's the vampires that are out of combat are going to get +1 to cast. If they are in combat and have charged, they're going to get +1 to wound. But they have to charge to get the bonus to wound. Spell lore, Lore of Undeath. I think that's.
The only one.
Oh,
they
no,
have.
no.
It's the
Right,
only,
right.
yeah, only one they have.
Manifestation lore is Primal Energy.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone's going to be taking our spell lore. Kind of sucks.
Yeah,
Tactics.
it's the light one.
Yeah. Tactics. Master the Paths, Intercept and Recover. I think we're going to be saying these two things a lot tonight.
Mm-hmm. I think Intercept and Recover is going to be a recurring theme if everyone realized that it's a lot easier to make your opponent care about your tactics than to have to do a bunch of weird stuff with your stuff on the board.
Right. All right. So let's go through here. We got the new Vampire Lord on Nightmare. That's the General. Lash of Sire, Shard of Night, Double Direwolves. I wonder if Austin has included the 20-point hike on Lash of the Sire, because that went up in points for some reason.
If you
Oh, there's
use the Age of
1940s,
Sigmar
so-
app, then yeah, it would get added onto the war
Yeah.
scroll.
Okay.
Even if he didn't, he's like 60 points
Yeah,
under.
it's plenty.
So.
Yeah.
2 units of Direwolves. That's our first regiment. Our next one, Prince Voradry, 15 Blood Knights, notably in MSU. And then we got a third regiment, a regular Vamp Lord, and then Vargeists. Pretty aggressive list. I would be expecting to see reinforced Blood Knights with Voradry, but maybe this dude's got some tech, I don't know, but
It's probably, I mean, it helps avoid debuffs, and also it's probably. I mean, now that I see that Battletechnic card is Master the Path, one of the first ones you have to have more units in a certain territory than your opponent, so it probably helps to outnumber your opponent if you have more smaller units.
Yeah. But honestly, I think we're going to see a lot of Vampire Lord on Nightmares. Vordrise and Blood Knights are going to be really prevalent in a lot of Soulblight lists going forward. The points fixes makes a lot of lists work that didn't. So that's Soulblight list. Let's jump down to Casey Carr. All right, this is going to be a Gits list. Yeah. Oh, wonderful, Travis. Thank you for joining us, sir. Due to Twitch TOS and regulations, we're not allowed to display YouTube chat inside of our Twitch streams, but we do have Chairgrot watching that YouTube side. So if you got any comments or anything, he will relay that to us. So talk away. We will get your messages. We do see them. All right. So
I'll take this one.
Soulblight. All right.
If you don't mind. For the Gloomspite stuff. Lore, notably is Lore of the Clammy Dank, which is the original Gloomspite lore. I believe not the new one. Not the Scourge of Garan one. Which makes sense because there's a bunch of trolls in here, and the new one specifically excludes trolls because they're too strong. Because nobody's forgiven them from the start of 4th edition, so all the rules specifically are to make them worse. Understandably. You have Scragrot, a loon boss on Giant Cave Squig with Fight Another Day, which is the thing that lets him bounce out of combat. And Leering Git Shield, which is the thing that bounces a mortal wound back if you can roll a 1 to hit it. Notably not Loon Touched and the Clammy Cowl, which is -1 to be hit, because those both went up in points. So that's probably didn't have the extra points for those. 2 things to Snarl Pack Cavalry. Used to be, in my opinion, a staple in Gloomspite lists, and the start, like right after the Gits, they came out and in the old GHB because they were great for tactics. Now I think they're probably still fine as MSU for doing that stuff. He did take Intercept and Recover and Scouting for us. So that's probably what they're there for, is to run around and do scout stuff, score tactics. 1 unit Squig Hoppers, I assume to fight with the Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig since he chain activates them. Kind of interested they're not Bounders, but I think he probably just didn't have the points for a Reinforced Bounder Squad. And then everyone's favorite regiment, the Troll Regiment, which is Trug, a Dankhold who got cheaper for some reason, even though he's amazing. Love his little ability to just walk into combat now. And then everyone's favorite, 2 units of Reinforced Rock Guts. They sit in the middle of the board. They do troll things. They just don't go away. And like I said, Intercept and Recover for they're taking their own Manifestation lore because it's actually really good for trolls to have the moon spell. And then you have Intercept and Recover, which again, make your opponent do your tactics, or think about your tactics, not you. And then Scouting Force, which is presumably the goal is to be able to score those with Snarl Pack and the Squig Hoppers.
All right. Yep. I've played against a bunch of Gloomstites, and I hate half the stuff in this list with a passion.
Yeah. Oh, they're not that bad anymore. They used to be really bad.
I remember at the start.
Yeah, we know they were really bad, Ryan.
Kenneth
played against 4 of y'all in the first event.
Look, I told GW to nerf them. Okay.
You emailed them. You CC'd.
After I took Trug and 21 Rock Guts to a tournament, then I was like, "Hey, these are kind of busted. These are kind of."
All right, let's jump down to the next one. Charles Belt. All right. Okay, bro got me a whole dissertation up here. Who wants to read that list name?
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. I also listen too much. I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings. Well, you think what you want about me. I'm not changing. I like me. ... I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get. That's definitely a quote from something, and I have no idea what it is.
Right.
I don't
like,
either.
did he hit us with a
I just don't remember it.
I legitimately thought
just be
about
glad we're not finding
copying.
Sancho here because he would put the entire Blood Meridian novel in here.
Ugh.
GW does not
Yeah.
have
I debated the entire
the
B-movie
list
script.
text.
All right.
I was generous
OBR.
and didn't put a whole RuPaul quote in there.
Ugh. All right. OBR. Got the Cavalos Lance, 2-drop, the Siren Sorcery. Horrors of the Necropolis. You know, I actually played against this manifestation lore. It's
pretty
actually
good.
really good. It's really
Yeah,
good.
it's pretty good.
All right, we got Wrathful Cycles, Intercept and Recover. Wrathfuls is interesting. Wanting to get doubled to kind of progress your battle taxes is annoying, but it's good. Good insurance to
Yeah.
prevent the double.
Yeah, assuming that your opponent is going to score battle tactics early, because that the first step of Wrathful is really easy. Or it's saying if you score the first one and you never fall behind, then you win. So what does
Yeah.
it matter?
If you never fall behind, if you never score the second because you can't, you didn't lose.
if you're never the underdog, that means you're winning the whole time. So
Right. All right, so we got Catacross. I really like him right now.
Mhm.
Got the Arch Cavalos, Reinforced Death Riders, Reinforced Harbingers, Soul Mason with Diversionary Tactics Muro Pack, and then is that the really cheap guys that are like 20-something wounds? The Tetra cohort?
they're the deep striking ones, which is really interesting. This list does not have a whole lot of frontline to it. It's really fast. I mean, like, you know, the Cavalos are fast, the Harbingers are fast. Catacross is not fast, but his aura is huge, so it doesn't matter that he's not fast.
Right.
The Morghast also don't even need to be in his aura to get that. That's the Harbingers is the 3 dice charge, and they don't care about being in your range. They just get the buff anyways for the. So, I mean, it's a super fast. I mean, it's almost like
It's
the
a super fast all-in list.
Yeah, it's like the Be'lakor 12 Vanguard list. It's kind of a similar vibe of like it can go very fast and very hard into you. Doesn't necessarily have to because it has so many mobility options.
Yeah, I like the list. I don't know if I want to see
Mhm.
Catacross in it, but I like him in it anyway. So
Yeah. I don't know what you swap. Like Arcan is. I'm not a personal fan of Arcan. So like I think I understand why Catacross is in this list, and it's because because you can give them the +1 save buff in your hero phase and then send them out, and then they have
yeah.
+1 to save until it's your turn again. So, it's I see the vision. I see the vision
Yeah.
for it.
I can appreciate a good fuck it, we ball, throw it
Mm.
across the table.
Yeah.
All right,
You get
Charles?
something that you really don't want to get charged.
Right. All right, let's go to Chase Layman.
Yep.
Okay, KO has too many words. I know one of you guys can explain this list.
I'll take a best shot. I don't think any of us play KO, but I'll take a shot. I think I understand enough about this list. Also, Nick, I don't want to talk over UMR the whole time.
Oh no, these are
a lot
just
of
the
stuff, so.
few armies I'm not familiar with. I will probably be talking way too much when we get to Stormcast, because everybody's got Stormcast and Corn and all those.
Yeah, you guys cut in whatever you want. Actually, that's surprisingly little orcs, I think. But anyways, you have Brock and Skyward. 2 things are reinforced Skywardens. 2 things are reinforced engine riggers. An engine master with dirigible suit, frigate, and the reinforced gun haulers. This is actually a very like melee heavy KO list. Like this list is not going to sit back and shoot you. This list is going to charge you with a bunch of things that are going to have strike first, and it is going to have a bunch of extra attacks, and they're going to buzzsaw their way through your front line.
This list saw the obscuring changes and just said we're going to ram.
Yeah, it has enough shooting that you have to care about obscuring. Like you as the opponent have to care about obscuring. But if you care too much about obscuring and piece your army out to do that, then it's just it's fast enough to just pick you apart by just running around and because all those balloon boys and those boats are going to be just whistling across the table. So
yeah.
With the
intercept and scouting, so those pretty easy for this one to do because it has the mobility to target things, and scouting just lets you like you're flying away or redeploy, pull things out.
Yeah. I really like the end riggers in this. I played against a guy recently that hit me with like the redeploy boat, grab the end riggers, throw them out, get them. Like I was like, wow, I did not expect dwarves to go 16 inches across the board after it was all said and done.
Mhm.
So really sick. I like KO. Just everything sounds the same, and I get the units confused.
Yeah. The Sky Wardens also have great tech because, like the Canary, they have that tech of at the end of the turn they can, like on a 2-up on a D3, they blow you up and retreat.
Mhm.
So they can move out away from you and still get scouting force tactics at the end because they're not in combat when the turn ends.
Yeah, pretty sick. I like it. So also, he's. I think this is our first time we've seen a Sog War Scroll with the Sog Gunhauler.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
You
can
can
Really
be
like-
reinforced.
not vibing on Garan.
Right. I really like what they're doing with the Sog War Scrolls. Some of them are better than others, but some of them are really good. All right, here we go with John Franklin. Got the new guy, and he's playing Seraphon.
Sweet.
So just to point out, we got Intercept and Recover and Scouting Force again.
Yup.
It seemed like they really, really like those on this team.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're pretty similar on that, but
I think everyone this edition, or not this edition, this GHP is really gonna love Intercept and Recover.
Yeah.
It really just forces the opponent to worry about, their guys.
Yeah.
yeah. So
We got the Sun Claw. Bringing their primal jungles. Aether Rot machinery. I really like Aether Rot.
Mhm.
It's also doesn't cost anything.
Yes, I like
So-
that it's free. Love
Yeah.
that it's free. Love that
Right.
it's one of the two free ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think here it is. We got the new Sog Carnosaur, and I think with the Sog Carnosaur, this is like enabling that Seraphon fantasy that a lot of players have wanted to indulge in, but just was never really good. People just want to bring awesome dinosaurs and like stomp across the board, and I mean,
The old blood does that now.
Chargers.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
old blood for sure does that now.
It makes Agrodons better, and Agrodons are already awesome. So
Pretty
Right.
good. Yeah.
He's his own Boomasaur.
Right.
yeah. So this list has them non-reinforced, has 2 units of non-reinforced Agrodons. I think looking through some of the other lists earlier, most of the other ones have the reinforced Agrodons with it. So this one, I think this is also a scouting force adaptation where you just kind of need to have at least some amount of units to do it.
Right.
But and then reinforced Croxagore, hit like a truck, Stink Starseer as your spellcaster. The Hunters of Huanchi they're probably going to start, then Deep Strike, and then just be annoying little scout grabbers. Bastillodon, 2-up saves, always good. Raptidon Chargers, probably scout, a little objective grabber guys.
Well, hunters can't be scouts if they start off the board. Scouts can't start off the board.
Oh, yeah.
Only the things that's on the board at the start become scouts. So
Yeah.
I think they're just there for
Okay.
the minus dice. The only
Yeah,
scouts
which
in this list
is
are
really good.
Croxagore, Raptidons, and Agrodons. And I'm assuming the Raptidons are there to do the tactics. The
Yeah.
Agrodons
Yeah.
and Croxagores are there to go in,
Hammer
larger
it out.
stuff. Yeah.
No, I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of lists like this season, as long as that old blood doesn't get touched too much by GW,
Mhm.
and hopefully he doesn't.
Yeah, so he has Armor Cruncher now, which is also part of their new Season of Grant stuff, which is just really good. Like
Mhm.
extra rent. Like everyone loves that.
Yep. Extra rend into things you need extra rend into. For the other things, you don't care because you're already like 2 rend anyways, and you're just lifting them. So
Right.
Yeah.
And I see he's paying for the Realm Shaper. I wonder how much longer before people stops paying for their faction terrain.
I think Realm Shaper is good enough that you pay for it. I mean, I think it's I can't see
Yeah.
for 20. Maybe if it was like 50 points, people might start dropping it. But like 20 points, I think you pay the tax. And move
Yeah.
on.
The Realm Shaper and the Telepody are you're probably still gonna see those most lists.
Yeah. Speaking of,
I don't know, like, right? Here we go. I like that. There we go. Pat Terrence the Third. Tyrants. I'm gonna go with Tyrants. It sounds cooler. Pat Tyrants the Third.
Annihilator spam strike last.
Dude,
Oof.
I like. Just put your concept right there for me.
I mean, it's pretty simple. So battle tactics, intercept, and restless energy. No need for scout because you're probably starting both the units of annihilators off the board. So Bastion Karthlos, obviously, early moves. So if you want to start with meteors on with your hammers on the board for some reason, could, but he's basically a little range threat, little mini kill hero. War Master, which in this list not really important, but
Notably, this is the
Army
army
Renowned.
renowned. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the army
oh,
renowned.
okay. So this is so that changes it a little. So yeah, that lets him go back up. So his movement beforehand's not really that important, but it is his army renowned.
Mhm.
Annihilators, like it's not the same as the third edition, like 15 of them and just mortal wound bomb out. Now they're more actually relying on their war scroll stuff, the fight last stuff, which he's put in the title. And Knight Arcanum, just a good wizard. Morbid, best thing to bring with a Knight Arcanum. It's probably at 140 for the combo, it's still probably the best wizard. Still probably one of the best one cast wizards in the game.
Yeah.
Lord Celestant, that's for the actually do not remember what the artifacts do in this one. I am very used to the base Stormcast where you do the fight first and drag the hammers in.
I was just looking it up to go find out. Their artifact is on if it's what they're in combat with on a 4-up, you lose your ward rolls for the rest of the battle, and that's any combat phase.
Okay,
pretty
so
good. Pretty not
basically,
bad.
make the Grand Hammers have just delete things harder.
Yep.
Which, if Annihilators with Grand Hammers get in, which on this they're going to be moving closer and have a very, very easy time getting in with this one. They're just going to delete something, make things fight last. And if they delete something, they've probably done their job. The Knight Judicator with Griffhounds, he's the new hotness on points efficiency. He does damage, he shoots well, and he's got 2 of them, so they're just snipe out little things or do a chunk of damage. They're the new replacement for long strikes, quote unquote, just because points efficiency wise they're really good. You can't bring Cascaders anymore. Praetors, I'm not exactly sure what he's protecting, but it might be the Celestant. He's got a lot of heroes. You just choose one, give it a 5-up board. Probably make it a little bit stickier on objectives. And the final thing is the Celestant Prime. The surprise, very far moving, very hard hitting. Probably not going to keep him in the sky. That's just not how I've seen people run him. He just moves far, he hits really hard, and he's surprisingly hard to kill because give something a 3-up save and a 5-up board. Just ends up being a lot more difficult to kill than you'd think.
Yeah.
And he does have the portal. The telepody is never going away.
Yeah, no, I really like this army renown. You need a lot of annihilators to run it. It's what the army wants to run. But if you have them and you have the little support heroes to go along with it, very fun army of renown. I've done it a few times. I really like it.
Yep.
All right, let's go to Savannah Rutch. I believe I said that right.
Notably, so 3 drops. I think we're going to see the average is about 2 or 3 drops in most of these lists. This one is only 3 drops because they're taking a Regiment of Renown. To get out of the way. One-Eye Grunnock is a very good Regiment of Renown, especially because Mega Gargants get our control scores on their War Scroll in this edition. So it's a War Stomper for a discount.
Yeah.
What's wrong? And they can give out -1 to hit as a Rampage. Pretty not bad. 2 Bloodthirsters, because of course that's the core of this list is but the Axe Thirster to go lift stuff and a Wrathicorn Thirster to make it better at lifting stuff. Notably, they took Firebrand, which makes that guy into a priest instead of starting with like a Blood Tithe. Claw of Karanak to go walk up and do stuff, and then you have a Slaughter Priest to sit in your little altar, and 2 units of 10 Blood Knights, or not Blood Knights, Blood Warriors.
Blood Warriors,
grind
yeah.
stuff. They also, their prayer lore, I believe Blood Blessings of Khorne is the new lore, not the old one.
Yeah, that should be the Sogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this has Master the Paths and Scouting Forces. On Scouting Forces, this one is going to be a little bit risky on the Scouting Forces because the only scouts it has is the Blood Warriors and the Claws, if I'm correct.
Yep, I believe you're correct.
So I think they're just going to walk those
And-
3 out of friendly territory turn 1,
And the claws
not
can't
charge
even,
in, and then just try to.
the claws can't use
Or
their
they can't
skill-
do their pre-move.
Yeah, well, yeah, they can't move. Well, they can't move out of your territory, so it depends on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them you still can.
I like the Sog. The Sog prayer lore is interesting.
I
wouldn't
really
say
like the
it's-
Sog Prayer. I really
I wouldn't
like
say it's better than the generic one, but the fact that everything goes off on 3s
it.
is really, really good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it has a few,
Especially on that +1.
Oh, sorry, and also we were wrong. Blood Blessings is the original one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the Sog one is Gifts of the Blood God.
Okay.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Blood Blessings is the original one, which is still for this list. I think is fine. I mean, they're both
Yeah.
good. They're both good, but the new one is just I think a roughly equivalent option.
Yeah.
Because for the exact
It's-
reason you said, it's easier to get off.
All right. I like Corn. It's always a fun army to see. People can do some wacky stuff with it. All right.
Yeah.
Tyler Baker. Oh yeah. Travis got us he did some Binder Man stuff for us. He's
Mhm.
the Oklahoma Binder Man.
Nice.
Let's see,
Because
I
every
know
community's got to have one.
every community's got to have a Binder Man. Let's see. All right. Okay. So we have 2 1-drops, 27 2-drops, and 21 3-drops.
Hmm.
And then it goes 6 and 8 for 4-drops and 4-drops and 5-drops. So the vast
sounds
majority
alright.
of it, 2 and 3, which
Yeah.
I think has been the case for all of 4th edition and most of 3rd.
I think
It's
there's
just so hard to fit things in one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the really is. I think it used to be like the average. I think was firmly 2, and now it's kind of shifted from 2 to 3 ish. I think there's a lot of lists that are in that 2 to 3 range now, or like in like kind of that could go 3 or could be 2. But I still think 2 is. It doesn't surprise me that 2 is still the average.
And he also grabbed the tactics popularity, and he was we were right. Intercept and recover is in 42 of the 64 lists.
That makes
2/3,
sense.
roughly.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody should think about right now what units you're going to pick to hold your treasures, because
Hell yeah. It's
It's
gonna
gonna
be
be-
my invincible.
It's my things that are, if they're going to die, I've already lost the game.
Right. I will pick the 3 units of 10 Blood Knights. And then it's going to be Master of Paths coming in at 28. And then everything else is 18, 12, 18, and 10. So
Okay.
we have 2 clear favorites kind of emerging. And then everyone else is still trying to figure out if Restless Energy is for them or not.
Mhm.
Yep.
All right.
Which
I'm going to find out the hard way. I'm gonna find out the very hard way.
which
It's gonna happen.
Restless Energy and Intercept and Recover is what you pick if you don't actually want to think about doing tactics at all during the game. You just want to play
Right.
the game and try to try to just do primaries, because then you will probably score them.
Right.
Yeah. So,
All right. So Tyler
looking at
Baker.
this team,
Yeah.
All right, got Slaves to Darkness. Everyone loves some slaves.
Mhm.
Yep.
They did take Forbidden Power, which is interesting for their Manifestation lore. I do like Forbidden Power, but they
I
have
do
the
too.
points for it. It's just not something you see.
Yep.
They took a not
put the bridge.
a non is Forbidden Power bridge?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It is right. Yeah, okay. See, that makes sense to me, because this list has
right?
has 40 warriors and 2 blocks of 10.
Yeah, it's totally-
Has a Gaunt Summoner to throw things forward. Has 2 units of Knights to throw things forward.
Mhm.
So, it has no Bellicor in this list. So no to the strike first shenanigans, no turning your stuff off shenanigans. It's just going to drop 40 warriors in front of you, have 10 knights running around doing their thing. And
Sphinx. Does Sphinx still get fight last?
Sphinx
That might be
does
the
give out.
replacement for Bellicor.
Yeah, it does give out strike last. So warriors are also really good defensively. So I honestly think this list is going to walk forward, and what you come fight it, where the warriors are going to be better. Maybe the warriors actually get their extra attack whenever it's on a different objective. Doesn't remember. Warriors just grind out super well.
It's
Yeah,
when they're contesting objective that they don't control, or
Yeah,
it's when
so-
you control.
Yeah.
One of the
So you can buff them up insanely just on the sheer
Yeah.
number of attacks. So it's so this team's list seems like they've got 2 pretty clear anchors, and everything else just kind of looks like balls to the wall, aggressive, throw it at them, and make your opponent deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say a lot of these lists are very aggressive, like kind of like wants to get in your face with some big threats and
Yeah.
like
I agree. I think that's
Solid.
going to be their game plan. They're going to throw their defenders up
Mhm.
early. Hopefully, no one takes intercept and recover against the slaves list. I don't want to have to chew through 20 warriors to get 5 points.
I do believe
Uh,
all of us have intercept and recovery.
I think there's
No,
very
I
few of
think
us
I
that
know.
don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you're gonna have to. The thing is, if you're playing into that list, you're gonna have to grind through those warriors one way or another because
Right.
they're. I will say one piece of tech in that list that I'm realizing is they have the head of the unworthy on the God Summoner, which is the new Sog artifact. Where if your guy with any Dark Apotheosis points dies, they get 8 immediately. Basically guarantees you get a Demon Prince unless they die first. So the Myrmidon with Deathmonger is there to run forward, fight, and hopefully try to turn into a Demon Prince. And if they die, then the Gaunt Summoner turns into a Demon Prince instead.
Okay, that is
Yeah, I
pretty.
mean,
Because
after
Gaunt Summoner, once you drop them off, you're probably not using them again.
mhm.
does the Gunk Summoner come auto marked as Zinch?
Does yeah. So the
Okay.
Demon Prince would have to be Zinch. But I think that's still. They also you also don't have to make a Demon Prince. You can just heal to full and get a 5-up ward for the rest of the game. But
Yeah.
I think for the Gaunt Summoner, once you drop stuff out, you're probably looking to turn it into a Demon Prince that can cast, which is what the Zinch one does. So.
But yeah, no.
Probably drop something, drop a spell, and turn it to Zinch Prince.
Yeah.
All right. So a few good vibes. I figured we're going to see 2 or 3 kind of defender lists, and I think everything else is going to be kind of aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. We haven't seen any crazy skews yet, which is something I expect to see in a team's list.
Yeah, I think that Gloomspite list and that Slaves list are the big anchor ones. Everything else is fast and wants to get into you and smash stuff.
Right. All right. So we started a little late, but we're going to pick up the pace.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump to us, and we will go quickly through our own. We're going to run some ads.
Damn it.
Yep.
But that's fine. We're
You should go through our
Oh,
list
no.
like trash.
Yeah, trash. Yeah.
Trash.
Why are you bringing this?
Yeah.
Don't even come, dude. Get him the fuck out.
right.
Okay.
Man.
All right.
Yeah.
So get us to Dylan's list. We're
All
gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
lightning round through our own shit.
Yeah, I can. I can cover this one real quick once we get. Well, are we waiting for the ads, or are we just gonna go through it real quick?
Are we?
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
we'll wait for the ads. Most of the
Okay.
viewers are on YouTube.
Got it.
okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, rip.
Then what does that artifact do on the God Summoner then?
Yeah.
So he was. So we were just told that the Gaunt Summoner doesn't have the right keywords and whatnot for Dark Apotheosis, or it can't turn into Demon Prince. I don't know what the Sog artifact, does if you give it to a hero that can't get those points, because the artifact gives them 8 Dark Apotheosis points. I think.
So that might need to be moved to the Chaos Lord.
Or let me look this up real quick in Slaves of Darkness. I think those requirements for who gets Dark Apotheosis points might be on the ability that Slaves uses to pick who's going to get those points. But the thing that turns something into a Demon Prince actually just says you pick anything with the 8 Dark Apotheosis points. You can only pick something with the Eye of the Gods ability if it's a non-unique Warriors of Chaos or Dark Oath hero. But the Gaunt Summoner from the artifact can get 8 Dark Apotheosis points and therefore turn into a Demon Prince. Because the thing that turns into a Demon Prince, the Dark Apotheosis ability, doesn't check that. It just says you have the points, you do the thing.
Okay. Turn that chariot.
You take this.
All right. So don't mess with Texas. Team captain Jeff Fiscaitis. City, Seraphon, Slave, Soulblight, Skaven, Nighthaunt, Doc, and Zinch. I think we've brought some pretty powerful lists. It's a
We
pretty
brought
powerful
some lists
army.
that make people probably hate us.
It'd be fair. So let's jump down to our good friend Dylan and his free guild list.
So I can cover this real quick. So it's veteran cannoneers. It's the new Season of Gyran one. The bring 3 cannons list. 5 drops. Probably never getting underdropped. Forbidden power. Bridge is really useful in cities. Intercept and recover and restless energy. Not the scouting force, but just kind of as we've seen the general ones. We got the new Scourge of Garan Pontifex, who's in my opinion, I think better than the previous Pontifex. Cavaliers, the regular ones, so the get a bunch of charge in, get a bunch of attacks, do impact mortal ones, 2 damage, some like 40 attacks if you use the command with them. There will be 3 cannons. They're going to be in different regiments. Fusilier Major on Warhawk at 140 is just kind of insane. But the Brazier of the Holy Flame is the make it a priest. Alchemite Warforger, give the Cavaliers a +1 to save, which, it's really good. Fusilier Major, give things +1 to hit. It's really good. The Marshal lets you remotely give the city's commands, which I assume he's going to be sticking that on Cavaliers on one side of the board. Free Guild Command Corps, they're cheap. They get the double reroll. Take buffs pretty well. They do a lot of stuff. They're very annoying. And Callous and Toll, Deep Strike, just absolute wizard blenders. They can go into a Great Unclean One, just one-shot it. So it's pretty standard. Cannons do a lot of damage from range. Cavaliers clean up what the cannons don't murder.
Yep. Pontifex makes this list really silly with her ability to just like yo-yo units out of combat.
Yeah. And also her ability to just drop. Hey, this, by the way, behind me, this is every wizard and priest when Pontifex is on the board. Because you're just hanging out and obscuring, and then suddenly your 6 mortal wounds dropping on your head every turn.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to say if you have something that's big that's a wizard or a priest, this list is your worst nightmare.
Honestly, the smaller thing, because you can't even hide the small heroes. If you have a little wizard like a Starseer or like a little priest, like a Slaughter Priest or whatnot, and if Pontifex gets within 18 inches of you, this is what you're looking at every turn.
The poor little weirdo shaman's gonna disintegrate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the War Chanter that you have hidden with obscuring from all those cannons, just obliterated.
All right. Let's jump down to Eli, and this is where this list review starts to get really easy. Once we start coming up to similar lists, you just be like, "Hey, we've talked about this," and
Yeah.
"Hey, we've talked about this."
Mhm.
He's
Oh, yeah,
bringing notable difference. There are 2 Stegodons in this list. I don't know why,
The
but
Stegodons
there
are cool. They're big dinosaurs.
Yeah.
yeah, I love big dinos.
Yeah, technically. But we got a Sog Old Blood. We got reinforced Agrodons in this one. Sotek, reinforced Croxigors, double Stegodons, and a Starseer. I do not see Hunters in the list, so
Nope.
Nope, this
praise
is all
be.
about fighting.
Yeah,
Right.
This list is a bunch of things that want to get in combat with you and sit there. The Stegodons have enough little pokey shooting to make it so you can't just stay away. The Bastillodon plus the Realm Shaper means you're still taking mortal wounds just for breathing while you're playing against this list. And then the Agrodons, the Croxicors, and the Carnosaur just want to get into your face and eat stuff. So
Yep. All right. Let's jump down to Jeff's list.
speaking of lists that just want to yeet into you and lift you, Abraxia and 6 Vanguard and 10 Chaos Knights. They all move really and a Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. Everything in this list except the Sorcerer Lord and the Chaos Warriors moves really fast. It runs up to you and then it activates and you die.
You die.
Yeah.
Also to mention that it's Twilight Sorceries, a very, very weird pick, in my opinion.
But it's free.
It's probably it is free. It's probably for I believe Twilight has Geminid and Umbral Spell Portal in it.
Oh yeah, Geminids for no commands. Yeah.
Yeah, and or being able to shoot out the fight last spell is probably pretty important for her. I mean, you only have the one cast, but it's probably just probably Geminids is the big thing on it.
Yeah, Geminids is so powerful.
Yeah, it's better than the S2D normal lore, so that's probably why.
Yeah, there's also that.
There is a Nexus Chaotica in there, so turn 3 or 4, something might take some mortal wounds.
Yeah, the Nexus Chaotica hands out +1 to cast. That's it. That's all it does.
I thought late in the game you could shoot a laser at somebody.
It can, but no, but you never get snapped.
It can, but yeah.
And when it does, you fail the roll for the damage. The Nexus Chaotica, it's funny that Slaves of Darkness players like to tell themselves that sometimes it's going to do something else, but it gives you +1 to cast, and just be happy with it. Be happy.
Hey, there's a lot of times where I'd have killed for +1 to cast or +1 chant on a lot of things.
I mean, it's still +1 to cast is still good. Granted, it can blow up objectives, so in that way, it's a little bit different than the Realm Shaper engine because you can pick an objective and do mortal wounds to it. But
Right. All right, so we got Jeff running it down mid. Let's go down to my list.
Oh, running it down mid.
yeah, also talking about running it down mid. Joe,
Yeah.
go ahead. Joe, ahead. Explain your war crime here.
Or unit?
Okay.
My favorite.
This is the Army Renown. The real bullshit about it is I get a command ability that lets me charge any unit in the any non. It's got to be Blood Knights, Blood Knights or the hero. Lets them charge in the charge phase, so I can charge normally and then charge again. Or if a unit's in combat, I can have them charge in combat, charge out of combat if it's infantry, because I can run over infantry with Blood Knights, or just get my charge bonuses against any kind of monster I want to hit. Vordry is going to be buffing Blood Knights every time they kill units. We've seen a lot of MSU, so Vordry plus MSU on these big blocks of Blood Knights, things could spiral out of hand very quickly. And the Vamp Lord on Nightmare Steed has that really busted ability on a counter charge to bring a unit of Blood Knights with them with re-rolls if everything succeeds, if they're wholly within 12. So run up, charge my shit. Maybe I charge you with a block of Blood Knights with a re-roll on your turn, getting my charge bonuses. 30 wounds, everything's on a 3-up save. I didn't put them on here because the app was silly. The Vampire Lord has once per game it heals for 3d3 at the end of a turn.
Yep.
And the command ability at the start of combat, I'm going to roll a d3. That's going to be how many prowess points I get. I can use a prowess point to re-roll an attack roll, a wound roll, or a save roll. And that's every combat.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty phenomenal. We're going to see what happens.
It's the real fun one.
Yeah, it's the fun one. Let's go down to Joey's list.
Joey's list. I played against this list a few times. It's Vizic, a Screaming Bell, and Thankful, and Clan Rats. It's everything. It's there. It is Intercept and Recover and Restless Energy. It seems like. Which is we just talked through that seems like the easiest ones to do. Your typical spell, prayer, and manifestation lord that you take as rats, which is the default ones. It's 120 rats and 3 big things that are actually really, really, really annoying to get off the board if they kind of stay next to each other. The Screaming Bell with its AoE heal at the end of every turn. Thankful heals himself every turn. Vizic does not heal himself every turn, but he prays every turn. So there's a lot of stuff that this list does every turn. And however squishy it feels like the Screaming Bell or Thankful or Vizic is, they're not as squishy as you think they are through a 5-up ward and like a D3 or 2D3 heal every single turn. With
and any other debuffs they throw out will.
Yeah. AoE 6-up ward from the bell. The bell also slaps in combat. Like, don't assume that it's just like a little chariot with those old rickety wheels attacks that are like 4s and 4s that do nothing. If it charges, it will hurt. It will deal damage.
Crazy. I miss when bells just used to turn into deceivers.
Yeah,
it was a better
when
time.
they
It was a better
cracked
time.
open-
I miss when bells stopped moving.
Yeah, when they cracked open and Screech came out every game because he had no point cost in that game.
That was the better time.
Yeah. But also, you
All
need
right.
to have 10 guys manually pushing every bell, otherwise they just got stuck.
That was the good time.
only chariot models in the game that needed people to push them.
Only
It's
leave it to the
realistic.
rats. Leave it to the
Right.
rats.
All right, so that's Joey's list. We'll go ahead to Mari. Why don't you explain your list first, bud?
Sure. Okay. So we're playing Procession of Death. So it's all going to be sort of around that black coach, giving everybody except for the Hex Wraiths, Reikenor, and itself a 5-up ward.
Mhm.
On top of the Kurgas Crusader, just giving out that negating the first damage point. We're running Blade Geist, Dread Sights. Blade Geist are really good on the charge. 3s and 3s, -1 damage apiece. They go up to 3 attacks on the charge. Dread Sights are 3 attacks normally, 4s and 4s, -1 damage. And they'll get +1 to hit, +1 to wound if they're fighting a damaged unit, which is going to happen because of Reikenor's ability just to say, hey, you're taking a damage, don't take a ward roll. So it's almost going to happen all the time.
And the Crusader shooting attack. Don't forget.
And the
that.
Crusader shooting attack, which has costed me some things.
Yeah.
Get me started. Kurdos is very good. Now in Night Hunt, amazing. You take him, he gets in combat, he goes, cool. That Night Hunt unit over there, you can't take commands when you're in combat with them. It just helps the army out so much. Especially with the black coach that can just randomly just blow something up if given the chance. Even if it's not charging. If it's just being charged, it can still blow shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Hex Wraiths are really
has so
just
much
there
damage
just to
now.
absorb hit. Hex Wraiths and Reikenor just sit there, go bully people, give out the -1 to save. Morbid just to be a dick. Intercept and Recover and Restless Energy. This may or may not be my first time running both of them. It's gonna go well, guys. Then the Nexus of Grief, finally.
Dude.
Heal 3 people, heal 3 Night Hunt units, D3. Amazing. One of the best terrain pieces I think I've seen today.
And you can pick it up and move it. And if then your enemy's in combat with it, then they can't use commands at all. Just
I've seen it
crazy.
screw games over where it's like, cool, I'm going to cover and fire with my gyrocopter. And it's like, hey, you can't receive a command because you're in combat with it. Sucks.
Dude, the Nexus of Grief, I think is the best faction terrain in the game right now.
It's
bar none.
it's wild that it has no points. Like when
Right.
they just added points to all these, and the Nexus of Grief could be like 100 points, and you would still take it.
Yeah, Nexus of Grief is probably just by far and away the best, and it's so annoying.
The wild thing is you can teleport it into your enemy's deployment zones and then go scout it.
Yep.
So annoying. Dylan blew me out of the water with basically this shell, not this exact list, but the shell. So crazy. So fucking good.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, you're up next. Why don't you go over your list for us?
All right, so this is Slay Queen. This is the basically this is pretty much everything Daughters of Cain got in the SOG. So we got the new prayer lore. We're running the same manifestation lore. The new Blood Rack Shrine double cast, and it's now an artillery piece. 4 units of Men Kennerai. They're just really annoying. They bounce out of combat. They have 12-inch move. They do scout really easy. They annoy things. They tie things up. They make pile-ins really annoying. We got Scourge of Garan Crethusa, so she loses the random movement or control thing. She's now a double priest, and she just gets prayer points in the opponent's turn. She also returns a foot elf unit, so Sisters of Slaughter are elves at half strength. Sisters of Slaughter are the most annoying things to kill in the game. -1 to hit in melee, 5-up save. They recover D3 every turn. They're Death Rattle skeletons now. They are insane. Witch elves are the charge threat. They murder things. If you ever get Mind Razor on them, you are probably lifting 800 points from a 200-point unit. Slaughter Queen is an aura of +1 to pray, and all the prayers go off on a 3 now, so they don't fail. It's really good and really annoying. And it's got Zealous Orator, which is just extra rolls on Rally. K-Knight Pendant, basically an extra prayer roll. The new prayer lore lets you move out of combat, gives you -1 to wound or +1 to wound, and attacks at the high end. The new prayer lore is good. Everything that Season of Grand gave to Daughters of Cain is insane.
Easily.
And it plays like Big Wah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, man. Like So good. And then the Sog Bloodrack being a wizard too. For like
It's a
that
wizard
point cost.
2 and re-rolling artillery piece. That
Yes.
is okay in melee.
Yeah.
For 230 points, it really reminds me of the old skink that was a wizard and a priest that you take in Seraphon. It is just insane value for what it is. You could probably run 2 of them. You just don't get the rerolls on the second. Like, it's insane. It's probably the best unit in the Dodge Camp book.
Yeah, no, sick. Great list. Coven Zealots. Okay, yeah, no, sick. Let's
Yep.
let's let Ryan talk about his list real quick.
Yeah, it's the fun side of Zinch, so it's not picking up and putting down horrors the whole game. It's instead just picking up Zangors the whole game, and maybe sometimes a few of them come back on the board if the shaman doesn't flub his role. You have Kairos because he got cheaper and better.
Mhm.
So why would you just can't not take him? A Chaos Spawn because there's a 60-point tax on taking that spell. Sometimes he starts on the board if he's up against an army that he's not going to do anything against. And he'll just go run on an objective and die or something. The new Scourge of Garan Acolytes, which are actually good, unlike Acolytes for the last 5 years, which have been trash. New Acolytes, you have to line up. You have to kind of make the stars align on them. But when you do, they actually hit things pretty okay. For at least for 200 points. Skyfires because they give out that free. They ignore hit and wound modifiers, so they can covering fire at base profile. Every time they shoot something, I can make all the other Zangors +1 to hit against them, and they're fast. They just fly around and do stuff. Changecaster, he has the AoE of if you're burning within 12 of him, all my units get +1 to hit against you in combat. So that's what he's there for. He also has a rally thing and casts a spell, but like whatever. Screamers are demons because I am running the new Season of Garan thing that gives all the Arcanites get crit 2 hits as long as they're next to a demon. So and my only demons in the list are the Changecaster, the Screamers, and Kairos. So then the last one is 40 Zangors, a Zangor Shaman, and the new Ogroid Thaumaturge, who is probably one of the funnest models in the game now. He can just, if he's not in combat, but any Arcanite unit is in combat, anywhere on the board, he just picks himself up and puts himself in that combat. And he counts as having charge when he does that. And he slaps pretty okay. Has a 4-up ward that he just gets to pass wounds off to Arcanites that are near him. So a lot of the times putting wounds into him just ends up not actually lowering his damage output at all unless you kill him. So and then he has the weird flame blade, so if he does a single damage to you, you're now also burning. So it's a punchy Zinch list. It's something that leans into the kind of the new play style that they kind of unlocked in Season of Garan, and it takes the manifestations of Zinch because their sigil is great and the other two are fine.
The deal is phenomenal, and I don't know. Maybe we'll come across fucking Nagash for you to bully with the birds.
I don't think there are any. I looked. The bird, man. I don't think there's even enough croak for it to go bully. It's gonna. Yeah. In fairness, even whenever they're on the board, it never bullies them. It runs in and gets one hit through, and then they save it. So.
Damn. Oh well.
The bird is just there to be big and annoying in the way.
Right. All right. So there you go. That's Don't Mess with Texas. We got some anchors. We got some lists that we're going to try and run it down mid. Anything that isn't hyper focused, we're going to try and get our steamrolly list into and just blow them out. And anything that we don't really want to fuck with, have clan rats. Clan rats physics. Enjoy yourself. But that's us. Let's go down to Feast Brigade, helmed by Jay McBride. Okay, is his first name actually just Jay? Because I've met some Jays, but never just Jay.
Yeah, we don't.
I'll have to ask him.
Yeah. The only people who know that aren't here. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him. Our first Lumineth showing up. Actually, kind of representing some firsts here. Lumineth, ogres, fire slayers, and orcs. Feck as well.
Yeah.
So these are gonna pioneer
a lot of firsts in here.
All right, let's see what Anthony Herbro is bringing. And okay.
It's Lumineth with Alania and Elithor doing their teleporting thing. You have 20 Sentinels because shooting's not dead. It's just just harder. But you have 10 Dawn Riders because Dawn Riders have never been dead. The new Light of Eltharion, which is just the
Hilarious. He's hard to
hilarious.
kill in the first place, and then comes back.
and then you cast a spell and just put him back on the board, which is crazy. Stone Guard to sit on an objective and not die. An Enlightener, presumably, who is here to bring Eltharion back to life whenever he dies.
Is the Enlightener the one that like gets the double cast?
I believe that is the Enlightener. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and has
also-
the ethereal spell built in.
Yeah, and has the ethereal spell. So that I mean, they're here to make things ethereal, like the Dawn Riders, where they go flying in, and then the Stone Guard or whatever. Probably to cast the ward spell. I mean, Alani and Elthor can do that stuff too, but I'm imagining the Enlightener is the one who's going to be sitting up in the shrine doing that stuff. And they're still taking the regular spell lord. They're not taking the new one, which makes sense with only 2 wizards here. So,
Dude, the fucking the stone sigil, so much damage.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Unfortunately, they don't have the Kamehameha, but not everybody can do it.
only 2
No.
wizards, so that makes sense.
all right.
Yeah, the new spell lord for Illumineth really wants you to run a bunch of wizards to cast those spells over and over and over and over again.
I don't know. Our first Lumineth list, and I like it. I hate what Lumineth became basically at the start of 3rd edition and through its entire life cycle. I much prefer what it's doing now.
Yeah. I like this a lot better than 60 Sentinels or whatever. 60 Sentinels.
Right. Tech list, Sentinels. Ugh.
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, yeah.
Like any list that has Eltharion in it or Sigvald in it can't be bad. So
But no, not at all. Anthony knows what he's doing. He's a professional. Let's go. Oh, we have Anthony Hubble as well.
Yeah,
okay.
That's second Anthony. Yeah.
Team Anthony's here.
Oh,
Their
had
list
to
name is
double take.
their list name is yahoo.com, which go off.
Incredible. I like it.
Okay.
Okay.
First
Cool.
coming in from Arkansas. I love it.
Arkansas always.
I will continue to pronounce it Arkansas.
Arkansas.
This ogre list is a mix actually of both sides of the book. It is beast handlers for the better charge damage, which makes sense, but they still popped in 8 iron guts and a butcher to make them run and charge up the board, as well as 40 Noblars to sit in the way and make sure you don't just charge and blow up these stone horns and iron guts before they get to charge you and do their thing. But there's 3 stone horns in the list. They're pretty good into ward armies because they can make the -1 it as long as the frost lord's in combat. And if those iron guts get going into you, they will lift stuff. So seems like you walk the 40 Noblars forward to let them get charged and die, and just screen out the rest of your army, and then you have the rest of your army countercharge and just wipe whatever came into them.
Honestly, I love it. The art of the screen has been dead for a while, so seeing people kind of bring it back is nice.
Yep.
All right. Anthony Hubble got a great list here. Let's go down to Deegan.
Fire Slayers. A bunch of new Fire Slayer stuff. The new Rune Sun is so good. And
Yes.
Drops are insane now.
They clearly agree with me because they took 3 of them. So they took 3 Rune Suns plus a Rune.
4 of them.
Well, they have 1 Rune Father, 3 Rune Sons.
It's the single father. It's the single father with his 3 kids.
The single father of 3 who's here to take a wound so that all of his children get mad and then go and dump out like 50 wounds in combat or something like that.
Right.
They did take Drothhelm is +1 to hit, which includes their shooting attack in an AoE around it, so it's going to be just a firing lane of magma droths. And then in addition to that, they took the new spell lore, which means they can just kind of catapult those magma droths up the board with a movement prayer. So they'll be running like 20 inches up to you and then activating. So it's fast, it hits hard. It can't hide from shooting, but it does as long as unless you're unloading 3 cannons into its face every turn and it can't move, then it probably doesn't matter because it's just gonna tank through it. And even one of these Rune Suns getting into a unit can probably at least seriously cripple that unit.
I think they were scary before the Scourge Garon Orstral, and now that the Scourge Garon
now they're
terrifying.
Yeah. Like I've had Rune Fathers literally lift shit they couldn't lift before. Just
No, it's we for a long time haven't needed to know what fire slayers do. I think now we're really gonna have to familiarize ourselves with their war scrolls and their rules, because I think like shit like this is gonna start popping up a lot more often.
Mhm.
Which is phenomenal. Great army, and if it gets the love and people start playing it, maybe GW will remember it's in the fucking range.
please, dude. I want a new Fire Slayer range.
Dude, I
Like,
mean, like the Flame Seekers, they showed us
Yeah.
they can do
Potential.
it. Like,
good potential.
Dude, that warband's so good.
Don't make everybody look like just like this. Don't be like this the whole time with them. Just like I don't
all
need
right,
that anymore.
let's jump down to the captain, Jay McBride, and see what he's doing.
He's got Ushran 12 Morbid Knights, and which makes sense. Aetherot Machineries really for cogs on Ushran to give you really for Ushran, and the 4 Scourge of Garan Ghoul Kings in this list, which is
I'm
hilarious.
just saying it's peak.
It's great. It's great. All these 4 guys all give each other an extra attack, and then all get an extra attack because for each one of the other guys next to them. So they're all throwing out like 9 or 10 attacks without Feeding Frenzy, and like with or without Feeding Frenzy. On like 4 or like 3s and 3s, 1 red 2 damage, but like that means these 4 guys are putting out like 40 damage 2 attacks. So. And then a Crypt Guard unit, just presumably the Crypt Guard is to go there with the Marrow Scroll Herald, or to have all 4 of those Ghoul Kings sit inside the Crypt Guard unit and get a 5-up board so they don't just get blown away before they get to do their thing. Also, if you kill any of those Ghoul Kings, then all the Flesh Eater Courts around them crit on 5s after that. Which doesn't matter a whole lot for most of these units because a lot of them don't have crit auto anything, but it's just, something to think,
It's funny.
something to keep in mind. Yeah, it's funny.
Right? I've known Jay McBride for 2.5 minutes, and he's already my favorite person.
4 Ghoul Kings is hilarious.
He's
Yes,
really
yeah.
slimming the electric counts. I like
Yeah,
the little,
yeah.
little touch.
Yeah.
Also, he's a 5-drop. Bro's gonna be like getting
Yeah.
rerolls all day.
Also, I
Yes.
think it's the first Flesh Eater Courts I've ever seen that runs Cannibal Court.
I don't even know what that one does.
It gives you one.
Every
Every hero gets 1 Noble Deed point if they're outside your territory.
What
And
the?
so,
Okay, that's
yeah,
pretty good reason to
All
run it in this one.
yeah.
All
But like,
right,
also,
let's,
Ushran can. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we can move on.
yeah, let's see what John Thomas got for us.
The Mad Rats. More rats and Thankful. Except this time, instead of having a bunch
Is
of clan
this-
rats, it's rat
Okay,
ogres.
so this one's
rat
flesh
ogres.
meld, yeah.
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 This one is 6 Storm Fiends, 6 Rat Ogres, 3 Rat Ogres, a Brood Terror who's just there to give all of them +1 to hit, a Screaming Bell to sit behind them so they don't die immediately and they get -1 to be hit, and then Thankful, who does Thankful things. He runs around and casts, is like, the only real spellcaster they have besides a Gracier on foot. And a Plague Pack for prayers, presumably to try to get the better prayer for the Rat Ogres, or it's the Storm Fiends at some point. But really, the core of this list is those 6 Storm Fiends. The six Rat Ogres are a backup hammer. The 6 Storm Fiends are your main hammer. 3 Rat Ogres to run off the side and do stuff, and then a Brood Terror, which can now give them all +1 to hit. So,
I think we're gonna see Sog bells in most lists going forward if the player has access to a bell, right?
Yeah. Sog Bell's really good. So,
Yeah.
All right, bro. Love it. Love Skaven. And it's not rattling guns. So fuck it, I can't hate it. No matter what he does, I can't hate
It's
it.
not rattling guns, and it's not 200 clan rats.
yeah.
All right, let's jump down to Jordan Matt.
Lizards. Again,
Lizards.
Sog Carnosaur, Agrodons. They got rid of all that faff we were talking about earlier with these other lists and said, all right, I'm going to bring Croak 2.
Right.
And an Arcosotech and the Realm Shaper engine. So now you take like 5d3 mortal wounds for breathing every turn. I think a 1 unit of Huntress of Wanchi and then 1 unit of Crocscore Warspawn to sit on the board. Oh, and a Scar Veteran on Agrodon to give them the extra, to give there's 2, they're MSU units of Agrodons, but they're going to hurt a lot more than you think they will between the Scar Veteran and the Cold Blood.
Carno.
Yeah. Oof. It's rough. Eddie brought Croak. We'll see what Croak does. I feel like he got weaker in the 4.5 edition release, but hopefully he performs for Jordan. But I like the inclusion of Croak with your Dino Smash list. All right,
Points get pretty tight
Obed.
at that point, but
All right, we'll jump down to Obed Gonzalez. He's KO. Let's see what kind of KO we got.
Yeah.
this is more shooty KO. You got an Ironclad, you got the reinforced unit of gun haulers,
Two reinforced units of engine riggers.
yeah, I think they're there to heal the boats though, more than to be. There's no like
Yeah.
frigate delivery system. I mean, they can go into
Yeah.
melee, but I think they're really there to heal the boat and make you think twice about just charging them. But this is a much more shooting heavy KO list that, and also has the regiment for Callus and Toll, who are presumably there to be the
Yep.
only thing that's not going to just redeploy away from you when you come fight. They're there to sit on an objective and make you put your army into lifting like this 3 up, 5 up. Or 3 up, 4 up, I think. Or
3 up, 4 up, yeah. They're insane when they're outside of cities. They're good in cities, but they're insane outside of cities.
Yeah. Make you lift this like 3 up, 4 up unit off an objective, while the rest of his army just sits away from that objective and shoots you. So,
I think utilizing either Callus and Toll or Black Talons inside of KO is a pretty good tactic. All right, Sam Todd with the Auric War Clans at Cruel Boy specifically. Not something I thought we would see here.
This is the worst I got to stay out of.
Right?
I've not played him this edition.
Lightfinger is really a fun one. He really doesn't want you to touch him, especially with the additional sneaking. I used to myself call it super sneaky, but that doesn't exist anymore. You can really tell he really doesn't want you to touch him, except for the gut rippers, because all the slippery scumbag on the Corpse Ripper Vulture. You got the Nash Tooth who can teleport. The Beast Keeper is just there just because it's amazing. I am a huge fan of the Beast Keeper Kilbo. Both the boys can teleport. Pop, start shooting with the auto wounds, can kill very small heroes very quickly. The Swamp Caller Shaman, 2 casters, great. The 2 monster killers, they got cheaper. I could see us getting more and more. We get cheaper and cheaper, so we'll include more of them. Break a boss with Toughen, -1 rend. Great. He's a good melee monster. You let him go and you just kind of ignore him. He'll kind of just start lifting shit that he really shouldn't. Another unit of gut rippers, just there to absorb a hit. A Slither Boss, interesting. I like Slither Boss.
Does he have any help routes?
Yes, yeah.
He's just on his own?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, he's
Yeah,
one
when
unit
you-
hot routes, right?
Okay.
No. It's for the chain activate, obviously. No.
Yeah.
It's for the once per game instant kill on a 2d6.
Yeah.
And then another shaman just to help get the swamp out, lure the swamps, and then scare
Like
it off.
the backup shaman to put down the Gorkarora for the main shaman to
There you go.
actually get 2
Yeah.
casts at like +3 or whatever.
Mhm.
I also really like the Killbow, especially in this edition, because everything that the Killbow wants to shoot can't hide from obscuring. So you're going to get value out of it if any of its preferred targets are around, and if they're not, it's still okay shooting, like for 140 points at quite a long range.
At 24, I believe, or 21.
24 at base, and it moves 5, so it's like a 29 minute start range.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
So that's gonna tie it up neatly for a Feast Brigade. One of the interesting things, I don't think we saw any list we would really consider like a big defender or an anchor. Everything seemed really aggressive in this kind of team composition.
A whole lot
Maybe-
of aggression and a whole lot of MSU.
Right?
I think the Fire Slayers list into another melee army is actually a very strong anchor list because they can make sure that they're fighting before you.
True.
So,
Yeah.
The fight first prayer plus the mortal wound bleed could do a lot to just cripple a unit. All right. So, good.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna drop down to MAW team, MAW. I don't know what the abbreviation for it is. I feel like it's an abbreviation.
probably. I'm sure they'll tell us
But-
about the tournament. I'm sure they'll tell-
Yep.
Almost
but
like our unit name.
right. So
Yeah.
we got Slanesh, Sylvaneth, and Nurgle showing up for the first time so far in the event. So let's thank you, Nick Murphy, for bringing your friends out to this event. Let's drop down to Dylan Holmes and see what the guy's doing.
Well, this is Techless, Dawn Rider, Sentinels. It's a lot more Venari stuff. It's 2 units of 5 Dawn Riders. It's a unit of 20 Sentinels sitting in the back. Unit 20 Wardens to sit up in front of them. An Enlightener again, because I think you just always take the Enlightener with its ability to double cast Speed of Hish or whatever spell you need from it. River Blades because they're still annoying.
Very annoying. Not insane, but they're still annoying.
No, just their ability to just move from combats to combats are really good, really good. Their points are now reflect how good it is. They used to not, but yeah, pretty solid.
Well, so we've kind of talked about all these. Okay, got some gold farmers out here. All right, but we've talked about these before. This is our first tech list, and I think this is our last tech list. But Dawn Riders are cracked, and Lightners are crazy good, and thank God Riverblades aren't the terror they used to be.
Yeah.
All right, so let's drop down to Jake Bentrup with Slanesh.
With 4 bad bitches.
All right.
Right?
So this is, I guess this is my territory. So 4 bad bitches. So that is Sinessa, Dexessa, the Keeper of Secrets, and Shalaxi. So this is Epicurean Revelers. So this is basically 20 Demonettes. Those things hit surprisingly hard, especially around Dexessa. Keeper brings them back. Great spellcasting. You've got 6 spellcasts. Fiends are anti-casting, so it looks like this is probably going to be their choice into magic armies. You throw the Fiends up, you give Keeper or Shalaxi the +1 to unbind. Basically, this army says if your army's dependent on spells, you're not going to play the game, and we've just got a bunch of monsters that are going to stand around on points or countercharge you or pick off important pieces. And Demonettes are either going to kill you or just quick pickup tactics. It's a lot of scary big monsters. Shalaxi's going to be the anti-hero part and pretty anti-caster. This looks like one of the more targeted into matchups lists we've seen so far. Like, this is very anti-caster, but it also has a bunch of big things.
Yeah. Is there manifestation lore? Is that doing anything here? Is there any tech to be found in here?
There's a little bit of like damage stuff and like annoyance stuff, but it's not. I'm pretty sure the manifestations are there because it's free.
Okay.
It's a decent lore that casts on higher value than on 1 higher than you think it should for everything.
Okay. Pretty standard.
It's not bad. It's just it's not bad. It's just okay. And then Dexessa and Sinessa are getting cheaper. When they are finally 340 points combined, they will be playable.
Right.
That is just me being salty. That is not an actual statement on how good they are.
I think it's awesome. Only in teams formats could this list exist and actually be expected to come out of games scoring well and potentially winning matchups, right?
Yeah, this is like secretly just like super hard anti-wizard.
All right, let's jump down to Joseph Bohair.
This is Sylvaneth. This is the Alariel lists that have been pretty good the last GHB. With some new Scourge Grand stuff. You have Alariel, Belthanos, the new Drycha, and Durthu. Notably, new Drycha is way better than the old one because she's actually worth taking now. She can kind of mess up your charges, maybe, or at least make you take minus, or at least if you don't want it to be messed with, you have to take -1 to hit. The Revenant Seekers hand out a 5-up ward for free, which is pretty solid for most of this list. Spite Revenants fill in the rest of the points that you have. Durthu, namely, has War Singer to make something faster, usually himself. Belthanos gives out run and charge, but if you want to shoot with Durthu, then you can't really run still. Glamour Weave is one of the new Scourge Grand things and gives out and lets him reroll one hit roll, one wound roll, and one save roll every phase. So that's in the combat phase and the shooting phase. Makes his shooting significantly better, makes his combat significant, because one of the Deerth's biggest problems is swinginess. You only get 4 attacks. Every one you drop sucks. So being able to be on like 2s and 2s and then be like, actually, I don't get that one, and then actually I don't get that one either, means your average damage shoots way up with Durthu. Just always use that on the sword attacks first. Don't do your claw first. So Durthu's output goes way up in this list. I think it is Lords of the Clan, which means they always heal a solid 3 every turn as long as you're near the woods instead of a D3. Average means you're healing 3 instead of 2 every turn. But it just means it's a bunch of very tanky monsters that are very hard to lift if you don't get them in one go, and the list is there to make it hard to lift them in one go. All of them are basically 3-up saves with a healthy amount of wounds. One of them's going to be running out with a 5-up save. Alaria will have a 6-up word save. So a lot of big monster mash Sylvaneth stuff.
Yeah. Normally you only see like Alariel and one of their 300-point monsters. Just saying, fuck it, I'm going to take them all. So sick. Let's drop down to Keith Whaley.
Hey, Ironjaw.
This will be easy. Yeah, this will be easy.
Big old piggies.
Hey, Kragnos, and do you want to charge in? Yes.
And Mega Boss.
Yeah.
And 2
Mega Boss.
of the Gorguntas. New Gorguntas. Someone's excited
Right,
about
yep.
new Gorguntas.
Well, and we get the return to Fasten. They're going in. They're going in turn 1, trying to get so much in. Either the Mega Boss, Mega Boss with Fast 1 goes anywhere on the board that its pie plate dish can fit. Calls the Wah, new Gorgruntas, Gouges, Hacking Crew, Tusk Boss. Oh, that's just everything.
I'm really surprised in the Grunta Stampede and not Ironjaw's Brawl. It really
Well,
is
Ironjaw's Brawl only gives an extra attack to the guys on the riders, not the pigs, not the mounts.
Yeah.
So
still really good.
It's still not bad, but and especially with Kragnos because you're gonna get a lot of 8-ups, but and it works. But I think it's non-heroes too. There's a lot of limitations in Ironjaw's Brawl that make it kind of shifty. An extra move,
and they're not
non-heroes.
reinforced. Yeah, they're not reinforced stuff, so it's kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But
it's 3 big pigs, 6 small pigs, and Kragnos that are all going to fit inside his aura, and then the Mega Boss with Fast Sun is going to run off and go bully something else, and your life's just going to be a bunch of fast pork-related problems.
I like that they brought the tower with nothing to put in it.
It still does stuff without anybody in it.
It's just not 4-up.
It's just a 4-up instead of a 3-up, which really
it's just
no.
It's just funny.
Really, what this list does is it uses those Gorgrunters to tie you up. All the big monsters go and fight stuff, and those Gorgrunters are going to charge through things and then pile in, and then Mighty Destroyers in, and your whole army is going to be tied up and not able to fight back against the big monsters that are like 12 inches away from you, and make you kill those Gorgrunters. Because they're there to pin. They're there to do a little bit of damage, but they're really there to pin.
No. Interesting list. I'm glad we're starting to see the more kind of like charge in brawly stuff return for this army. All right, let's drop down to Nick Murphy and his Stormcast list.
Only 3 Praetors, Laron. Hope you're happy. This is a list after my own heart. It is a Karazai list, so Karazai as in the greatest infantry muncher on Earth. -1 attacks. He's extremely hard to kill with -1 attacks, just general. And then Praetor's there to just run around behind him and give him a 5-up ward. 20 wounds, reverse brackets. He hits like 2 trucks taped together. Sentinels of the Bleak Citadel is Runation, so give the prosecutors a ward, throw them in, try to delete something. Vanquishers, 110 points, they kind of kill infantry. They got Yndrasta, so this is very clearly hey, our opponent has brought a lot of monsters. Want to give Yndrasta 8 damage? So that's a pretty clear, we know we can choose some things. Lord Terminus, Reclusians, that's the other half of Runation Chamber. Once your prosecutors die, you just give the Reclusians the 5-up Lord. Lord Terminus, Quicksilver Draft, fight first. They sit on a point, say, fight us, we'll wipe you out. And Quester Soulsworn, the best unit in the Stormcast book, 200 points, 18 wounds on 3-up, and they hit like Chosen with a teleport. It's real simple. I've ran something very similar to this a lot. Surprised there's no Vigilors just for the free +1 to hit, but still, like, it's a good list. Like, it does its job. Like, it murders things, and it sits on points with 2 very difficult to kill things that says, come take them.
We can't understate Stormcast good stuff has been enough to carry the win rate for that faction for what, 5 years now?
Pretty much. And I mean, it's carried me to like 4-4-1s at this point. Like, it's kind of
Right.
insane.
All right, Stormcast good stuff. Love to see it. Let's jump down to Rustico Ramos.
So this is I was gonna say it's more like a traditional Fire Slayers list, but when I say that, I mean it's just not a bunch of Magma Dross.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of Hearthguard Berserkers, so it's a little more like what you would see in previous editions, except they're not in a one big reinforced blob anymore. There's a bunch of MSU Flame Strike poleaxes in here, and that's mostly because they all do their little pile in and pop damage on things. So you have like 5 different units that are all going to be dumping D3 mortal wounds at the end of a thing. They all have crit mortals. They all hit, are pretty wound efficient and can get pretty okay like ward saves as long as all the different Grimhold exiles and little foot heroes are running around with them. A Rune Spider on Magmadroth, a Rune Spider on foot to deep strike things in. Another unit of the Berserker Broadaxes, I assume because they just didn't have enough points for more poleaxes. A Rune Father on foot to give them all. No, Rune Father on foot does not give out extra attacks anymore. He just makes their OC better, or makes it so their OC can't go down.
Yeah.
And the Grimhold Exile hands out the run and charge bonuses. Rune Master is there to be literally the mandatory model in the army because he makes your battle trait like he unlocks half of your battle trait, your like main battle trait, and is a two chanter prayer. So pretty much more melee centric. With the new obscuring changes, these MSU units and Berserkers are probably a lot easier to hide from shooting and casting and things like that would pick them apart. So that's probably another reason why it is the way it is, because you can fit a lot of these Berserkers on a objective plate, and they'll all be obscured and not able to be shot. So basically forces you to go fight them in melee, and then when you're fighting them in melee, they have ways of either tanking through you or fighting first. So
no, sick. I love it. Cool MSU infantry focused, and with the new updates to Fire Slayers, I think pretty good.
Probably miss Field Sergeant, but oh well.
Ooh, everybody, I miss Field Sergeant. All right, let's drop down
same.
to Terry. Terry.
Oh, Ryan, you got this one.
Hey, more trolls. This is Trug Strogherd. So I think this is the Army of Renown. It is Trug and his Strogherd. It is Trug, and let's count them: 18 Rock Guts in 6-6-3-3. Two Dankled Trog bosses and Trug. One of these Dankled Trog one of these units is going to deep strike and then come out. The whole army basically gets the Moon Battle trait on, which is the reduce rend that are coming towards them on turns 2 and 3 automatically. They all heal. They'll heal when they fight. The big thing is they don't have to stand next to Trug to get the whatever buff he gets. So all 18 of these Rock Guts are going to be fighting pretty good. You're typically fit. The Trog bosses have their AoE bubble of handing out +1 attack instead of they don't need to be in combat anymore, and they don't need to be within 3 inches anymore. It's just a 12-inch bubble. It does go off on a 4-up, and if you're playing them like me, the Trog boss it never rolls that 4-up. Not when they're fighting anything that matters. But if it does go off and you get one of Trug's buffs off, which is about a realistic chance you either give them +1 rend or +1 attack every turn, pretty good odds you get at least one of those buffs. Then these Rock Guts are gonna smash everything that they're in combat with. It is not that many units to walk around and do that, but I mean, on some of these battle plans, that's fine because if you're on the objective and your opponent isn't, then you're getting points and they're not. So
No. Phenomenal anchor list. Glad we're seeing it.
Our us troll players, our brains gigantic move trolls onto objectives. Watch your brain expand as your opponent watches you lift nothing from their attacks.
Right. Let's drop down to Tyler Rue and his Nurgle list.
Speaking of anchor lists,
Right, we got another one.
Mhm.
Another.
have you heard the word of 20 putrid
See,
Blight
there-
Kings?
Yeah, there's 20 Blight Kings in this list. Yeah, 20 Blight Kings and a Lord of Plagues, which is the attacky version.
Mhm.
And a Harbinger who now he actually has a prayer lore. So that's cool. He doesn't just suck. Poxbringer, which is the caster, which is why you take him. He's the only sub commander caster in Nurgle, and in most armies would kill for a sub commander caster. Great Unclean One. With none of the enhancements, really would have expected that to be Rodigus, but they might. The Guo is good because they can regurgitate Nurgle demons. The only things to bring back in this list are the Plague Bearers and the Nurglings, which I mean, it's still extra models. But I do think that the Rodigus in that place, probably with the Save Aura, is personally what I would have done. But I mean, I would say the Great Unclean One, their personal spell isn't bad. It does hand out better disease. The Great Unclean One is a better fighter than Rodigus, I'm pretty sure. So he slaps pretty good in melee. And I guess this way, the Great Unclean One can kind of go do his own thing away from the Blight Kings. You don't have to worry about what they're doing. You don't have to care about the ranges or whatnot. The Blight Kings can go do their thing on one side of the board, and the Great Unclean One and all the demons go do something on their side of the board.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting drop, because I was like, Rodigus, obviously, right?
Mhm.
But no, now that you're right, they can just kind of wander off, go do their own thing.
Yeah.
I really like the Maw team, the Mineral Area
Mhm.
Wargamers.
Mhm.
There's a lot more
This
techie
is-
lists in this than our
Yeah, this
previous team,
seems
right?
very team setup because like
Yeah.
they've got the two like generally your anchors, but then like you've just got good stuff Stormcast to just flex into anything. Like very specific. This is anti-wizard. This is anti-monster. This is all monsters. This is Lumineth. Like this is we're going all in. This is can you deal with the damage you need for the fire starters? It's pretty good. Just all
It
around super flexible.
feels like some pretty serious thought was put into like what do these lists do well against. So
Yeah, no, these guys understood the assignment, so that's awesome to see. All right, let's drop down to the mediocre Midwesterns, led by LaRon. And at this point, we have no new armies popping up. So we're gonna see who's copied whose homework from here.
Yeah. We'll try to power through because I know that we're like halfway through the list. So
Right. Let's drop down to Cody.
yeah.
Yep.
Dylan and Cody are shaking hands over how much they like the same things in cities.
Yeah, I think
He
the only
took
difference
opinions.
is Wildercourse.
He took Wildercourse and
Wildercourse
the
and
Hurricanum, and slightly less Cavaliers.
Mhm.
I think maybe the Warforger's not in there. There's some minor differences, but the core of it is there's 3 cannons, there's 2 command corps, there's an ogre on a Fusel Major, there's the new Pontifex, and there's Callus and Toll, and there's Cavaliers. The only difference is kind of the seasoning after that. So
Yeah. So we've talked about this list before.
Good. It shoots.
Yeah, phenomenal. Those cannons plus Pontifex. What an amazing core.
More shooting for Will
barely a quarter of your list.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump down to Daniel Patterson. This is a slaves list I expected we would see more of by now, but here it is. It was going to show up. It's here.
Yeah, it's Be'lakor and two murder blocks that
it's Be'lakor and 2 middle fingers.
Yeah, that want to double activate and lift you off the board turn 1. This list is going to have fast games. This list is going to have fast games one way or another because their plan's going to work or their plan's not going to work.
Yep.
And I'm willing to bet in teams they're just trying to position it to get into armies that it's going to work against.
Yeah. I know LaRon and his crew. They are good players. And I suspect this list will find what it's looking for more times than not.
Yeah.
Also, our first 1-drop. So fuck yeah.
True. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. With the Nexus Chaotica, he's looking to get those mortals. I can feel it.
Yeah, I think it's because Be'lakor gets +1 to cast for the 2 spells that matter, which is Fight Last and no crits for you.
Right. All right. Let's drop down to David and his Night Haunt list. Notably, very different from what we've seen so far. At least with Murray's list.
Yeah, a little. I mean, still has Reikenor, still has the Black Coach, the new Black Coach, still has 10 or 20 Revenants, still has 20 Heroes. It swaps out the Kurdos for Lord Executioner. Who
Is
has
this the funny Lord Executioner?
Yes, this is the Lord Executioner that gets the extra attacks every terrain piece they own. And Tombstone of the Penitent. I think that's what that does. In Cloaked in Shadows, you always miss them on 1 through 3s. Still has a Cruciator, just like Maury. The other difference is Chain Gas, which is a +1 to hit bubble. They're there to walk around after the Blade guys, who really like that buff. Craven Throne Guard, who are here to snipe out your heroes.
Crossbows.
And 10 Dread Scythe Harridans sitting on the ground. The big difference is that they're running Vanishing Phantasms, which I believe is the one that gives them a deep strike. I think that's right.
Gives them a once per turn army deep strike.
Yeah. So there's a little more mobility in getting around.
Yeah, pretty sweet. I personally like it.
It's good. That's good. I mean,
that's good. Not much to say.
There's not a lot of. I mean, once you,
in hindsight, actually a lot like Murray's list, full of good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I like my paperback, please.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's drop down to Eli's suite and see what he's got, because he's doing a little differently. I'm seeing a bunch of Sog War Scrolls in here.
This list is like the one that me and Mari kind of were kind of cooking up. It's a bunch. You have it's the new sub faction. So the as long as those guys are in combat with another unit, they get an extra. They can pick one unit to get an extra attack, which for Gut Rippers with Venom Crystal Weapons on it is fantastic. The new Scumjack is good. Break a Boss has Minan, so he's +1 to hit, and Egomaniac to pass off wounds, so you don't lift him. Marshcall Sloggoth to make all those Gut Rippers and Monster Killers run in charge, so this list is actually way faster than you think it is. It's going to give you Fight Last with its battle trait pretty reliably. Like, you're pretty reliably going to have at least one thing on Fight Last every turn. The Nash Tooths run around the edges and do whatever they want because they just teleport from board edge to board edge. Murknob gives out a 6-up ward to just the castle of your army that's going to be walking up. It's good. It's a ton of wounds. It is a ton of wounds that does slightly more damage than you think it does, and it will take a while to chew through. And it has a lot of I give you strike last
movement and strike last.
Yeah, it will win more fights than you think it will, just because of how wound dense it is and how much it actually is a kind of a pain in the ass to shift these things.
Right. All right. Let's drop down to Jared Noli with his OCRs. And OCR's one of these armies that I never really know what their game plan is. I'm assuming it's just bring the best stuff in the book and win on just value.
Yeah, this list is an Immortal Catacross list. The Immortus Guard make him basically on a 5-up ward all the time, 4-up ward in combat because he's just going to pop the ward ability every time. And the sub faction is one of the new ones that does a heal every turn from one of your wizards, which Catacross can't use it, but he can be targeted by it. So the Stalkers and the Immortus Guard and Catacross, I'm pretty sure, are the core of this list. To just get healing and sit there and be harder to move than you think they are, because the Soul Reaper gives out -1 to wound. The Necropolis Stalkers can be -1 to hit. Just a pain in the ass, little block in the middle, while with the Harvester who can run around, who's only 150 points now, so he's kind of punchy for those points. And then you have 11 horses, which is the name of the list, to run around and go do something else.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're being annoying.
Yeah.
Let's drop down to Jimmy Rudoff.
Okay, so this is Dar's Kane. This is actually pretty different, but it's still the SOG. This is Arena Veterans. So if the unit hasn't fought yet, they have a 5-up ward, which in Dar's Kane, that even the 6-up ward is kind of most of their whole defense. Turn that to a 5-up is really good. Prayers of the Cainite Cult, I believe that's the default prayers. Manifestations of Cain, really good. Lore of Shadows, Mind Razor is insane. This is a Marathi list. Marathi, you probably hate her because the 3 wounds a turn, she will stay around for half the game. She still hits like a truck, she fights like a truck, and she's a really good caster. Life Takers, annoying, they pop around. This is the new Cthulhu, so even though it's the old prayer lore, still better. Like it, if you can get all the buffs onto Marathi on turn 1, she is going to lift almost anything in the game. Witch Elves, if you can get all the buffs onto them in turn 1, they will probably lift almost anything in the game. Slaughter Queen, this is the foot one, so just an extra attack, and it's a prayer. She didn't have the buff. Bloodrack Shrine, still just really good War Scroll, artillery piece, and double caster, so 5 casts. Just try to give as many things run in charge as possible. And Sister Slaughter to be really annoying with -1 to hit and 5 board.
So I haven't looked, but Nick, off the top of your head, surely the Shadow Queen does not get a 5-up ward, right?
No.
Okay.
Actually,
No.
sorry. Daughters gain elf infantry. She might have elf keyword.
I think she can because I think there was confusion at the start of the, like when those rules first came out, because Cthulhu could bring back the little tiny one. So Marathi Kane, so she could bring back Marathi Kane at one point. She can also bring back the Slaughter Queen.
Marathi Kane is elf infantry,
Yeah.
so she does get a 5-up ward after she fights.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Just
the
not
Shadow
the
Queen,
Shadow Queen part.
which is the big one, does not.
Okay. I was like, surely they wouldn't give the Shadow Queen.
Little Marathi gets a ward. Big Marathi.
Okay.
Gets
Yeah.
Not that it really matters, because most of the time, whether you have a 6-up ward or a 5-up ward, you're probably taking the 3
Look,
wounds.
if you didn't
if you're in
get
a
the 3
space
wounds
to get those
through,
wounds, yeah.
you have bigger problems. If the
Right.
5-up to 6-up, you probably have bigger problems.
Imagine though if she did get the 5-up ward and how
I
badly
have,
that
I've
would
have
fuck
had
up
the
someone's
6-up ward.
activations.
I have had the 6-up ward actually come in clutch and save her for a full another turn.
Yeah.
So it can't happen.
Yeah, it can. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Never say no to a ward. Never say no to a ward
Yeah.
or a better ward.
All right, let's drop down to LaRon, very seasoned Stormcast player. I've watched this dude do a ton of work with this army.
Okay, so this is Runation. So
Oh,
this
we got
is
that
the
Sog Iridan.
yeah, Sog Iridan, which is just good now. So this
Should
is
have
the
been her
Runation.
default war scroll.
Should have been. Like I love the model, but that first War Scroll was rough. So Questors, they do Questor things, 2 units. I still think that should be the default for the Stormcast list. Reclusians in this, they get better buffs in this one from the prayers. Vanquishers, they're just okay infantry. Vigilors, +1 to hit. Griffstalker is the fight twice one. So basically the idea is going to get either, I think it can make Iridan fight twice, but the main idea is going to have the Reclusians fight twice because of the Vigilant on Griffstalker, who can just kind of bounce around and hit things really hard. Prosecutors, they fly around the board, throw javelins, 3d6 charge. The Knight Azeros, I think this is kind of a tech pick, as it just gives you a -1 to hit, like in combat. So it's kind of more a tech defensive piece that you would expect to be following around the Prosecutors, but it's probably going to be following around the Reclusions. I don't remember off the top of my head what Corvin Lord or Hollowed Scrolls do. I don't have the book on me, but like this is a very solid, this is a solid army with good war scrolls, and its key piece just actually got turned into a really good war scroll. So
yeah. This is the Army of Renown. It's the those things give it. They can the Knight is Azeros can use the Ruination Timber ability even if somebody else already has. And which doesn't work in reverse, by the way. So if you use it on them first, you don't get it on anybody else. And then I think the other one, the Hallowed Scrolls, I think it is they get a 5-up ward.
okay, yeah. So
Wait,
basically, it's Stormcast good stuff. A little bit on the tankier take a hit side compared to what most other Stormcast stuff does, but Iridan's going to be kick flipping around, assassinating things, and being a really good priest.
Yeah. Our buddy Dylan has been talking about a Army of Renown Ruination Defenders list pretty heavily for a while. And it doesn't surprise me that Laurent's picked it up and is bringing it. All right. Let's drop down to Yancey with his corn list. And what is this dude up to?
This is a Mortal's Corn list with plus a Bloodthirster. Coronate Legion, so that when the Bloodthirster fights, something else can fight next to it. And also Argas, so we can go and turn off a ward for something. But really, you have 20 Blood Warriors is the middle anchor. You got 5 Wrathmongers. You have 10 Skull Reapers. You also have Skull Taker, who can chain activate mortals. So there's like a neat little trick there where Skull Taker is in combat with a hero, he gets strike first, and then you can chain activate into something that you care about, and they technically get a strike first activation, so long as nothing else with strike first is going on. But that actually comes up surprisingly less often than you think. The Aspiring Deathbringer also can chain activate, but the way to give him strike first isn't in this list, which is the Mighty Lord of Khorne. Scar comes back forever. You kill him and then he just comes back again. He just generates blood tithe forever and is annoying. Skull Reapers are chosen on Khorne drugs. They don't care about objectives unless they've soaked in blood and killed something. But they'll lift pretty much whatever they go into. They're kind of squishy, but their damage output is through the roof, especially with if you get the Realm Gore that can give out like an AoE +1 to hit around some stuff, which can cover a surprising amount of the board.
Some of the battle plans are really good for the Realm Gore ritualists because there's just a couple of big things in the middle. You just plop Realm Gore on that, and wow, suddenly half the board is +1 to hit. So
yeah.
This is Gift of the Blood God for the Prayer Lore. Is that the Sog prayers?
That is the Sog prayers.
Okay, so we have seen them.
That sounds right. Yes, which is
okay.
One of the other Khorne lists that we did earlier might have also done that, and I just missed it. But like I said, I like the new prayer lore. It is very different from the other prayer lore. You can't do the Ren bonus, doesn't do Blood Boil, but the ability to be like, hey, every time you do anything, you're taking damage. Really good prayer. Being able to just against some armies, the 3-up spell shrug, really good prayer. Against some armies, the ignore 1 damage point every phase, really good prayer. So. And if they're not really good prayers, you still have your judgments to throw out. And there's not actually that many prayers in this army. So
no. Mediocre Midwesterners, less techie lists than we've seen in the previous teams, but definitely they have their defenders in mind, they have their attackers in mind, and they have some flexy spots that they can put up. They can handle most stuff pretty well.
I think there's just like a couple of like, oh, this is going to be the anchor, and then just probably 5 just good stuff lists, and then some just hard hammer.
Yeah,
he just Be'lakor and his 2 middle fingers is quite the list.
Right. Let's we'll drop down to our next team. Not quite the Ever Chosen. Team captain by AJ Wheaton. And we've seen all the. Oh wait, no, we have our sons.
Which is funny because they don't even have a slaves team. So that's why that's probably why they're not quite the Ever Chosen. Probably not quite.
Right. All right. So we'll go to our first list here with AJ Wheaton. Pinnacle of Blood, we've already talked about. Lore of Undeath, Manifestations of the Grave. I probably would take an Aether Rot Machinery.
It's free.
It could have been possible that other people in the team have that. So I do think there's a limitation on how many spell lords.
You can have at most 2 of the same one.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense then. Neffy with her -1 to hit. We have Barrow Knights, crazy. 10 block of Blood Knights.
Just gonna sit around Neferata, be -1 to hit, and just never die.
Yeah.
Every time.
Blood Knights, they're really good. White Steed, the White Lord on Skeletal Steed, very, very good model. Loves to hang around and hand out debuffs and do the chain activations. Vengorian Lord is crazy at 220 points. And then we got 2 blocks of True Blades and then some Death Rattle Skeletons. Probably because he was looking to fill points. Yeah. So Neffy's -1 to hit bubble is very powerful. Barrow Knights are cracked on the charge. Blood Knights are very good. Those are probably looking to be made ethereal somehow. I wonder how. And then you have the Vengo that has a bucket of really good attacks, is a wizard, is a monster, is quick. 220 points, hands out -1 Ren, so if Neffy and the Vengo start hanging out next to each other, could be very difficult to lift that situation. True Blades are great. Our good friend Tom Guan has been spamming the shit out of these recently. And Death Rattle Skeletons are 100 points.
Yep.
And he's bringing the Curse Sepulchre because we got nerfed and we have to take them now. So, Soulblight list. I love Neffy. Let's drop down to Andrew Robertson. Old Reliable.
Hey, guess what? Do you like Marathi Kane and Blood Sisters doing mortal wounds? Yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty much it. It's Marathi Kane, 2 Doomfire Warlocks. I assume they're just tactics and spells, a little bit of shooting.
Screens, probably.
Shooting.
Yeah,
Yeah, screens.
Cavalry bases, they just stretch out in front of the hammers you care about.
Heartrender. So these are the shooting ones. I'm going to guess this is your way to eat covering fire because they shoot, they drop in, they shoot, they move up. Hey, guess what? Since they moved up, they're now the closest thing. Thing protects your other things from shooting. There's 2 of those. They're also good, tactics guys. Iron Scale, Zealous Order, Better Rally, Sevenfold Shadow. I don't remember off the top of my head which one that is.
That's the
but
teleport.
Okay, yeah. Then 2 units of Blood Sisters. If they're against infantry, they're going to probably be handing out Fight Last. They hit like a truck and then this is Cauldron Guard, so this is the end of turn pile-in. So if they get into combat with you, you're staying in combat. Marathi's going to try to Blood Razor things. If Blood Razor gets on one of those things, whatever the Blood Sisters are fighting is going to die. And probably the thing next to them is going to die. It's pretty... Like you said, it's all reliable. It's a lot of damage and a unkillable model in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, we've seen this list for years now. Dropping down to Dan O'Day, we got Catacross and More Death.
Yeah, pretty similar to the. It's a reinforced block of Immortus Guard, which I think are great for their points. I think a reinforced block, but it's otherwise I think it's the same principle. It's just everything is in that big blob in the middle with Catacrosses. You have Immortus Guard and Catacross who are just making a mortal combo who aren't going to die. And Archive to go out and do work. Then you have a Harvester, or you have a Cohort to go run off and do tactics or whatever. Whatever you need them to do. And then 2 casters in the Soul Mason and Vok Mortian, who are both double casters. They should both get +1 from Mortison Council. So a lot of actual, a pretty decent casting in this list. So you actually are going to see them get their manifestations on the board, and the -1 to the crit buff and the -1 to hit and -1 to save spell are probably going to be out a lot. So it's a very condensed elite army, but it is gonna be hard to get rid of.
Yeah, just OBR good stuff. Love to see it. Dropping down to Dylan Gill. What happens when you want to play Sons of Behemoth, but all you own are Bloodthirsters?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can fit 2 little heroes in with them too.
It used to be just for Bloodthirsters. I guess that's gone down at least 300 points now.
It used to be like 4 Bloodthirsters and like Fleshhounds, and that was it. That's what you could afford.
I think technically now you can go to 5 if you only run Boomthirsters, which there's 2 Boomthirsters.
No, it's a Wrathicorn is the not Boomthirster. Wrathicorn is the anti-hero.
Oh, yeah.
That Wrathicorn is the one that buffs 3 other Bloodthirsters on the board every combat phase, give them +1 attack. But they're the only one that's cheap enough to run 2 of in this list.
But it's 4 Bloodthirsters. They hit like trucks. They run in hard, and they're hard to kill.
It's a lot of very consistent quality damage.
I like the persuade.
So no, I love it. 4 Bloodthirsters. What a Chad list to bring to a team's event. I hope you get the best. I hope this guy gets the best matchups. All right, Ethan Roche.
This is 30 gluttons, I think. It's 30,
12 gluttons, 6 gluttons. Yeah.
And then 5 Gorgers, and then also a Husker. So this list running charges up into you and puts a bunch of meat
Fours
your
and
face,
twos.
and just slaps you with a. When we're talking about a good quality damage on that last list, this is quantity damage. This is they brought 160 wounds or whatever. Yeah, I can lift that.
Yeah.
Just throw the gluttons in and be like, hey, I don't care. I'm gonna all out my 5-up save is gonna go to a 6-up save, like whatever. I'm gonna all out attack and lift like 50 wounds of stuff with all 12 of these guys activating. And the Huskard's there to just throw out some prayers and whatnot, and also subtract from your ward save if you're a ward save army. So
Yeah.
and give out if you're another monster army like the Bloodthirster army, then the gruesome trophies actually just gives them +1 to hit automatically just for existing and standing near the Huskard. So
Silly list. Thank you, Ethan. Like, fuck yeah, 30 gluttons. Let's drop down to Ken Best with his Ionis list.
So an Ion Cannon list. Sentinels, so has Ionis, give him the 5-up ward, or give your prosecutors 5-up ward, reclusions. This is basically all Runation list. So with Questor and Stormcoven, the two kind of obligations you have. Lord Vigilant makes things fight twice. Reclusions hit struck. Reclusions are the chosen equivalent. Ionis, he's a good priest, has his little laser beam attack. It's probably just playing protect the Ionis castle. Stormcast manifestations, because they're not using Lord Arcanum, so they don't really have any need for Morbid, and these things are just going to be hard to kill. Stormcast good stuff. Ionis may occasionally pop off with the extra prayers. I'm of the opinion Stormcast prayer lore is awful, but if you just have a priest who can actually get you to the good things because he can pray twice, then the prayers actually are good. So a teleport with a -1 to hit, or a bunch of extra attacks on prosecutors and a bunch of reclusions all at once, suddenly the list goes from like okay to, oh wow, this is a lot more damage than you should expect in one turn. And Ionis can actually get you there. So it's good. Quicksilver Drought as the defense. It's just protect the Ionis and slowly damage and grind you out.
Yeah, no, I like it. Powerful models. So let's drop down to Smithy. And this is basically the exact list Ryan was talking about the last time we looked at.
I'll say speaking of grinding you out, this is 30 Blight Kings and Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And then a hero to make charging those Blight Kings even more unappetizing if you were considering doing it by giving them anti-charge. Who's also a priest, so they can, I believe, retreat and charge you. Not that Nurgle really cares that much about charging with Blight Kings, but like it just makes it so you can't really tie them up that well if the Harbinger or the Lord of Blights are around to do their thing. Rotmire Create is there just to put some pressure on you that they can put out disease without walking into combat with you. Just to apply some pressure there. But otherwise, this list is just 30 Blight. It's 30 wounds, 30 wounds per unit. So that's 90 wounds on a 3-up save, 5-up ward. That also are basically going to ignore your armor save between anti-charge and Rodriguez's aura.
Yeah, Rodriguez, the new Rodriguez, just stacking a aura on his pie plate base of just -1 save. That just you're basically gonna lose a whole rend on everything.
The longer you take to go and engage that little castle, the more that Rodriguez is just gonna spread his little gifts all over the board and make sure you have -1 to save.
No, crazy good anchor list. This is
Super
gonna
strong
stop
defensive
some.
list. Super strong.
Yeah. This is gonna just stop some armies in their tracks. All right, dropping down to Walter Snap with our first Sons list.
It's King Broadstomp, the Army Renown, not regular Gargants. So they don't do charge damage, but they have a bunch of other tricks instead. They don't get the regular rampages; they get a whole different set of rampages. The most
no
important,
suplex though.
Yeah, no suplex, no jump up and down, no. I don't even remember what the last one. Oh no, yeah, I think they still get a turn off commands roar. I don't remember for King Broadstomp. I have to double check. But they do get the King Broad. They do get the Stonehorn charge, old Stonehorn charge, where they got to just charge over stuff. I don't think it does mortal wounds anymore, but it just lets them reposition. And the hero, I can do that better. The Beast Smasher can do that once per game, even if somebody else has already done it. the War Stomper has a 4-up ward against spells and prayers, I think is what Lucky Shiny Hat does, and then you have 4 Man Crushers to soak wounds for broad or to just sit on objectives and be 10 OC each. They do okay in combat for 130 points. I mean, sometimes they roll great and they actually do okay, but most of the time they just don't, and then they just die. But especially with no impact hits, most of the time they're not going to do that much damage. But I mean, and if you roll good, I mean, Gargants is the army of if you roll good, then you do a ton of damage. If you don't roll good, you don't do that much. But yeah, I mean, you have 3 anchors, like the three big boys and 4 little idiots to go sit on objectives and force your opponent to put their units into bad positions in order to take objectives away from you, so that your 3 Mega Gargants can capitalize on that.
Yeah, no. I think great little Suns list. Dot fucking Gatebreakers.
Yeah.
PTSD from 3rd edition. But not quite the Everchosen. Following kind of a similar format as most of the teams before them. A couple anchor lists, and then some really aggressive and some all-arounders to kind of try and get their points.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. The Soggy Bottom Boys will be our next team.
Mostly Sparkle Motion people?
I believe so.
I believe Soggy Bottom Boys is mostly Sparkle Motion.
Led by Jose Arenado?
Oh, is he on Seraphon?
It might be.
Arredondo? All right, let's
Hopefully
drop
he
down
still
to
has the eye patch.
right. Let's drop down to Bob Martin and his Blades of Corn list.
This is the Might of Mudang. Apparently, it is Gifts of the Blood Gods, who is the new prayer lore. Judge of the Corn, we also haven't been going really over the battle tactic cards for a lot of these, but we kind of did that in a general sense of a lot of people are doing Intercept and Recover and something else. This is the Unfettered Fury Thirster, so this is the 3 dice charge Thirster for any demon units. Notably, that's really important because Blood Crushers have like their funny charge mechanic now with Season of Garand, so they can actually kind of just charge straight over your infantry into the stuff behind it. Maybe not even just infantry, it might be just units. I'm not 100% sure. But they can move, they can charge over stuff. As with 3 dice, they can actually go try the distance. Mighty Skull Crushers cannot do that, but they are a 2-up save. So everyone has so much fun lifting those.
Right.
A unit of 20 Blood Warriors because they're the best thing in Khorne that grinds. Period. This is Brass Stampede, which makes the Mighty Skull Crushers and the Blood Crushers better. I don't actually know that if it helps the Blood Crushers charge, because I'd have to go and look what Brass Stampede does on the charge. I actually don't remember off the top of my head. But they also have a Khorne Demon Prince, which with not wings, with the trophy rack, which gives it anti-hero. So just a fighty little hero that does pretty good.
Yeah, this lets it use the Khorne army ability, right? The regiment. Or
Yes,
does it not?
yes. This regiment gives them the Blades of Khorne keyword, so it gets all of the benefits of being a Blades of Khorne unit. It can even take enhancements. Also, what Brass Stampede does, if they get an A+ on the charge, they get strike first, which is useful for both units, especially with the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury, who can just make them get a 3 dice charge. It means they're probably going to get an A+, and they're probably going to go over whatever's in front of them and get into whatever they want, and then they're going to strike first. So it's actually a really good unit.
The math on that's like 82%, off the top of my head.
Something like that. I don't know if
I've done the math on all that.
I don't know if it's 82% on 3 dice for an A+, but it's pretty good. It's definitely way above 50.
I think with a reroll, it's like
with
that.
a reroll.
I think
with a reroll might be, but it's a crazy high, and that unit of Blood Crushers is going to get into the middle of your little castle or whatever and gum up whatever it's fighting, and then kind of chain activate the fights after that. Also,
the rest of the army just Khorne stuff.
Demon Prince also can get strike first every combat phase on a 4-up. So actually, a surprising amount of combat shenanigans of activation shenanigans.
And then the rest of the list just gums you up, like Blood Warriors and Murderlust.
Yeah,
really good.
Fucking love to see it with the Might of Mudang. So let's drop down to Carter Babs.
This is very similar to that Neferata list you went over, Judge, with War Dry instead of Neferata.
Yeah, just sub Neffy out for War Dry. Vordry can get really difficult to remove if cogs are up and they're set to -1 to hit wizards, because Vordry is a wizard. And honestly, it's a lot of the same, but like these are just very, very powerful Soulblight models looking to do what they want to do. But now Soulblights can turn into a serious threat, especially with all the MSU we've seen kicking around. A little hero, a little scout unit. If he spikes on a screen, Blood Knights are down 2 damage. Gonna be rough. But let's drop down to Dwight Reynolds with his Slaves to Darkness list.
Bellacore,
This
two
is-
middle fingers.
Yeah, it's Bellacore and 2 more middle fingers. It's almost identical to the list, a little bit different, but it's close enough that, I think they took Forbidden Power here for the bridge so they could bridge the Chosen. So they could 3 dice charge the Chosen, bridge them forward. Hey, the Varangard and the Chosen are now all in your face on the first turn, and maybe your army just disappears.
Yeah.
Chaos Furies, just little tactics guys instead of what was it?
Yeah,
it's pretty
instead of the
close.
Fell Riders, instead of Fell Riders on the other list, their Furies are there to just be
Yeah.
garbage and go grab an objective or something.
Yeah,
Your
Lord on
leftover
Chaos
points.
Mount instead of just Foot Chaos Lord. Pretty similar overall, but it does what it does. It kills things really hard, or it does nothing. Like, and Bellacore just says no to you responding to that,
Yeah.
and like it does its job. It kills things hard.
Yeah,
Yep.
both those lists are, we're gonna send things in, we're gonna dump these into, we're gonna dump all this stuff into you turn 1 and then turn off your ability to respond to it. And that can be pretty backbreaking for a lot of armies that just don't have the ability to like stop them from doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's stop down to Jesse Brandt and his Bleak Citadel Stormcast.
Well, this is this list is going to be very not fun to play against. It's not quite the oops all Vanguard Paladors, but this is pretty close to it. Reinforced long strikes just to make any hero you have miserable. It's only Vanguard, so it's going to be running or retreating and shooting no matter what happens. Scourge of Garon Iridan. Iridan's good. Iridan kickflips around. Prosecutors are just, those are pretty much going to be the only thing that eats that Bleak Citadel's ward, but a drop in or telepody in and 3d6 charge. They get out there, they're assassins, they hit remarkably hard for a unit you'd expect to do that. Then they probably eat 1 combat or 2. Krondus, amazing wizard, great spell, reduces defense and all that. Praetors to give him ward. Relictor for really not sure why there's a Relictor here, but it's a +1 priest. Vanquishers are just to fill out the points. I'm surprised there's not Vigilors in here, but like otherwise, this is just Stormcast, really good shooting damage with 2 really big monsters and a mobile threat and prosecutors.
I think the Relictor has the Banner of Sigmar. That's the new Sog artifact. I forget what it does, but I'm almost positive it's very, very good.
Yeah, but it's kind of competing with a Vigilor in its spot, so it has to be better than a Vigilor.
Right?
But it's probably it's probably good enough to run. It's just seeing a list that has long strikes without Vigilors is a little weird to me.
Right. Let's drop down to Joe Vucic, I believe is how you say his last name.
Yep.
Yeah. This is
a very different cities.
It's it's running the original Pontifex, not the new one. Because this list is 90 wounds of a 3-up save cavalry that wants to run into your face and pin you. It's 2 Warforgers, 20 Cavaliers and 10 Drakespawn Knights, and a Marshal on Griffin, and a Huracanum. This has a big blob of stuff it wants to shove into you, and just keep you locked up on your side of the board for the whole game. Because it's going to take you forever to clear through that like 5-up ward, and it does a pretty hefty amount of damage the turn it goes in. Since all that cavalry gets pretty good, unless you have ways of stopping them from charging. is all going to hurt pretty hard on the charge, and then it's just going to sit there, and you're going to be trying to chew through 3-up save, 5-up ward, like blobs that are just holding you off of the objectives.
Right.
And
Oh.
with 2 Warforgers and Morbid, they're just going to be chucking down a bit of mortal wounds while you're tied up with those things.
Great list to kind of get in there and stop those aggressive game plans. All right,
Yep.
let's drop down to Keegan Graves and the
Oh, you're just
3
gonna skip Jose?
Musketeers. Oh, did I skip Jose? Yes, no, we're
Yep.
not skipping Jose. We're gonna do Jose and his Thunderquake Star host.
12 Agrodons and the Carnosaur. This thing is...
That's the list. Everything else, I mean, there's an Oracle in there, like Oracle on Troglodon to bring some extra casting.
Like, he just decided he wanted, like, one guy that was not on a monster.
Yeah, but you have this King Starseer and some Hunters Hwachi, because the Starseer is mandatory, and the Hunters Hwachi just give out my NT charge stuff so that the Agrodons don't just get charged and obliterated before they get a chance to do their thing. The Bastillodon's also an auto include because it just is free mortal wounds every turn. But then besides that, yeah, the core of this list is 12 Agrodons forming a flying V around the ethereal Carnosaur, who's just going to just crash in the center of your army and just try to lift everything, or just sit in combat with you and win that grind fest.
Hard to kill, reduces armor, buffs that. That is just a solid center of the board. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jose knows what he's doing, and 12 Agrodons is it. Glad we finally see it. I was like, we got to come across one, right? Dropping down to Keegan Reeves. Okay. Three
Brood Terrors. Don't sleep on their shooting and their like profile. One of them can give the other 2+1 to hit with their ability because they're valid targets for it. All of them have pretty decent shooting. And they all have a 5-up ward built in, and they heal D6 every turn built in. Which on top of the streaming bell means they're all healing for a D3 and a D6 every turn. Now they're a little bit squishy to being lifted in one go by anything with like really high damage output, but I mean, this list is really mobile. They basically get 3 free redeploys with the Gathering of the Clans whenever they do a redeploy. So all those Brood Terrors can just hike it away from you after you move up next to them. Doom Flayers are just really efficient a really efficient missile for its points. Deceiver, everybody knows how annoying the Deceiver is on a 4-up or on a 3-up. It gets to roll both. It's just not going to fight you when you try to fight it. So there's a lot of hidden terror behind the Brood Terrors is the way I'll put it.
Right.
And
Eli's
Clan
hit me
Reps
with
is
that Deceiver scurry away many times.
Yeah.
Very cool list. Very different way that's not rattling guns, so it is valid and good. Shay Ramsey is up next.
More KO. This is very similar to that other melee KO list we saw. It wants to very, very similar to it. It has almost all the same major pieces. It wants to get into your face, give a bunch of things strike first, fight, lift stuff. Didn't take scouting force on this one, but with roughly the same composition otherwise.
I think
maybe a few
Sky Wardens and Engine Rigger are flipped.
No, yeah, like the battalion, the regiments might not be the same. I think there's 1 or 2 units that are probably swapped around, but otherwise, like the gun haulers are just pretty okay shooting for their points. The frigate picks things up and yeets them into combat with strike first, and you have a bunch of things that really like being yeeted into combat and do pretty okay melee combat. They're very squishy in melee, but as long as you're striking first with like a bunch of extra attacks, then it doesn't matter because your opponent won't have anything left. Really good into, I think, like fragile kind of like quick lists because it can catch them and blow up things at a time, or lists that aren't mobile enough to like counterplay into them.
No, I think this is I think this team as a whole has great players on it with some very good lists.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised to see these guys podium.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So let's drop down to the last team with the TOs and the problems. Headed by Travis, one of the TOs. Who would have thought? So our first list is going to be
Might be
Wait.
a little bit familiar.
It seems I'm getting the vibe that this type of list is a little bit popular in this area because this is the third one that it's again a little different. They have Trekkie Flint, who is cute. I don't even remember what he does because I haven't seen him on the board. God knows how long. But it's more Sky Wardens, more engine riggers, Brock, a frigate.
Reinforced gun haulers.
Yeah,
Yep.
this one is 2 frigates. So this one is actually planning on catapulting everything that wants to fight in melee in and giving it all strike first. So
Right.
Yep.
So we've seen this list before. Alex is doing it a little different, but the same, but different, but still the same.
the same, yeah.
Let's see what Brett's got for us in our next OBR list.
Catacross again. Really like Catacross up here. I don't blame him. Catacross is dope. He's cool. They are using the lore of Necrothurgy, which is the new lore, I believe, not the old one.
Okay.
Which has some good stuff in it. Being able to give out +1 attack is just kind of strictly better for most units than crit 5s and 6s. And some other like decent stuff there. Like I think they also have like a ignore the first damage every phase spell. They really like that mechanic in Season of Coran. They handed that on a bunch of stuff. But you have 20 Death Riders, 10 5/5. You have 4 Archai, who are going to sit here with Catacross. Catacross is a little bit less invulnerable in this list, but there's a lot more horses around to go and do things. And with OBR's ability to cycle charge them with Catacross's huge 18-inch retreat and charge thing that he can do, this list is a lot more dynamic in how it wants to engage the opponent with these hammers, and less like I have this immortal blob that you are not going to be able to get rid of.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great list. I see the Helm of Tyranny and the Aura of Sterility, and I kind of I cringe up a little bit.
Yeah, this list is I think it's the only one that's run Aura of Sterility so far, which is the anti-shooting thing. So pretty probably strong into like armies that rely on shooting to get their damage in. So
yeah, so sick, Brett. Doing it different. I like it. Let's drop down to Charles.
Chairgot's gonna chime in a little bit. Thank you, Mechrat, for the follow over on Twitch. We greatly appreciate it. And we had a quick question over on the red button side from Austin Haney. As a new person trying to decide on an army, thoughts on Seraphon, Gloomspite, and Night Haunt based on what you guys have been looking at, through the list today.
I mean, new players can't go wrong with dinosaurs on dinosaurs or magic space wizards. So I'm always a big fan of Seraphon for new people, but
my advice is always whichever army that you like aesthetically the most, because you're going to be doing a lot of building and painting that army before it ever hits the table, and it might not be the same. It might still not be as good for the same reasons by the time it gets there. If you're from a purely how easy to build them and paint them perspective, Night Haunt, kind of a pain to build, super easy to paint. Love painting Night Haunt. Great army to paint if you aren't big into painting yet. For building, what were the other? I think they said Seraphon is a bit between. Seraphon's very fun to paint, but it's a lot more details and things like that to paint. A lot more difficult to paint, I would say.
They said Seraphon, Gloomspite, and Night Haunt.
And Gloomspite is a little bit of best of both. Gloomspite is as much. There's some models that have. There's some models that are really easy to paint, some models that are really hard to paint, and you will never run out of things to paint with Gloomspite. And it really also depends on what type of Gloomspite you like, because Gloomspites, if you really like trolls, that's very different than if you really like Get Mob, right? Because they're different. Get Mob, I will say, is a long-term project to build and paint, because those models have a lot of details to paint, and they are also kind of complicated to put together. So trolls are kind of the opposite. They are much easier to paint, and they are also very easy to put together.
My recommendation: stay away from Night Haunt. It is not a good first army.
Yeah,
and it bounces a lot in like what is good and what is not, and what feels playable and what feels bad. So don't be like, oh, I love, this model, because that model probably won't be good for a very long time. Seraphon would be my recommendation. There's always something that's playable. The models are organic and fun to paint, and have an amazing aesthetic within the game.
And
So,
any
that's my
person that sees you playing them, or like any family members or what sees you painting or building them, will ask about it and think it's cool.
Yeah.
That's
So,
very
yeah.
big.
I would say
I
Seraphon
recommend
was
Seraphon.
Seraphon was my first army in the game because it's dinosaurs on dinosaurs. So
It would have been had they been refreshed.
We have hope. There's still hope. Let's
Well, the Seraphon got
let's
refreshed.
let's
Just
drop
at the
down
time.
to right. Let's drop down to Jeff Newman on that next list and keep the
did
pace
we
going.
do Charles? I don't think we did
Charles
Charles Fox.
Fox? No.
Oh no, we skipped
Um,
Charles Fox. I'm sorry.
Another corn list, another Bloodthirster, and the Mortal Boys list. It's using the old prayer lore, which is again still totally valid for a lot of reasons. You got 20 and 10 Blood Warriors. You got 3 Skull Crushers. Just a bunch of high armor, like good save things.
Wrathmongers to buff
Some
them up.
Wrathmongers. A few support heroes, the Deathbringer to chain activate the Blood Warriors, the Slaughter Priest to generate Blood Tide, Rumcore which lists about +1 to hit, Bloodscrater. Bloodscrater is probably the only one I think that hasn't shown up in the other lists, but it gives a better rally. So it's better into shooting lists or any list that you can outgrind and then have a turn to, get some guys back. And then an Unfettered Fury Bloodthirster, because being able to give the Bloodthirster being able to give itself a 3d6 charge is really good. That, along with the ability to run and then like Murder Lust into combat, means that Bloodthirster has a huge ability to go and tie up or get into units that it otherwise would not be able to reach.
No, we've seen this list, not this exact list, but definitely the bones and core of this list before. I think it's going to work. All right, now down to Jeff Newman. Let's see.
It's Blight Kings and Rodriguez, but also some other stuff in this list. You have a Lord of Afflictions, which is the Fly Lord, who actually really likes the ability to retreat and charge and stuff because he gets a little bit of charge bonuses. I think, or maybe it's just the Blight Lords who do that. I don't know. Who he makes better. He does have Corpulent Avalanche, which does give him impact hits. So not bad. And a Wither Stave in case you charge him to give you fight last. He also has Orgots, only one who's running him. Love Orgots, great. He's fantastic mortal unit. Just does a bunch of damage. Hard to get rid of. Easily the most punchy Maggot Lord. Lord of Blights to go hang out with that 10 block of Blight Kings. So 5 units of Blight Kings to set on objectives, and a Harbinger of Decay to run around and pray.
Use your prayer lord that they just got.
Yeah. I would say also for 150 points, the Harbinger of Decay, not terrible in combat and also pretty fast and pretty durable. So like for 150
especially
points,
for Nurgle,
pretty solid all around
fast.
hero. Yeah. It's a priest that also is actually good at doing other things besides sitting in your backlines and praying. So
Right. We all want one of those. Let's drop down to Michael Morley and his ogre list.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 stone horns. That's the list. The list is there are 6 stone horns. You have 3 priests in this list between the 2 Huskards and the 1 touched by the Everwinter Frostlord. Who their base prayer, the obscuring, really does nothing for them anymore because they can't benefit from it. Stonehorns literally don't get no benefit from obscuring anymore because GW hasn't FAQ'd that yet. So they can't actually hide from any shooting because they're monsters. But they do still care about the 5 aboard prayer, which is what you have 3 priests for. You're praying, so you have 2 of them just to keep marking terrain pieces. Or if you have the opportunity arises, you dump mortal wounds on something. But more likely, you're bouncing the tokens on all the terrain pieces that you care about, so that you can then start cycling through chanting the ward prayer as much as possible. Because a 5 the ability to negate 1 damage per phase, not terrible, not great, not as good as having a 5 aboard is, but having 5 aboard and doing that really good. So once they get that set up, also this list is just moves like 10 to 12 inches every turn, and whenever it charges in, I think they do an average of like 5 mortal wounds. So yeah, that's 30 mortal wounds on the turn they go in, because it's like with beast handlers they either are doing 4, 5, or 6 mortal wounds for each one that charges you. So if all of them charges
a bit inaccurate, but they hit hard after that.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that means that you're 30 mortal wounds means you're dumpstering a unit of chosen before you've swung with any of these monsters that all have charge +1 damage and rend 2. So like,
They're destruction models, so you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
But the mortal wounds is obscene.
yeah. It's pretty crazy.
It is.
It's pretty bonkers.
Let's drop down to Preston Rhodes and his Gloom Spites. This one I think is new. This is interesting.
Yeah, this
Very
is
different.
Kragnos with squigs. A trope I love. I think Kragnos goes great with squigs because you can have so many of them with him. There is no loon boss, so he can't give out the mortal wounds to the squigs, which they might miss a little bit. But I mean, you have 2 blocks of squig herd and a Boingrat Bounders unit that can all get yeeted into whatever you want. And then on the side you have a Galapalooza who can buff Kragnos because he's a Gloom Spike Kits model, which you have Drogs to Sunchampa who can give out a -1 to hit aura, which is good for defending your like little squig units after they go in, or just running around and doing his own thing because there is a Snarl boss and a Wolf Git retinue in here as well that can run around and do things. This is a lot of that stuff I think is for scouting force because they can run around and go do whatever. And then a Doom Diver Catapult because shooting's not dead. And especially
Doom Divers are good.
1 Doom Diver Catapult is very good. 2 starts to lower their value because only one of them can do the reroll thing, but 1 Doom Diver Catapult, pretty good. Pretty solid.
Make
glad
your
we,
heroes and monsters live in constant fear.
Right. Second Kragnos list, and both of them have been phenomenal so far.
Yeah.
So down to Trevin Boyson, and I was told beforehand that he stole this list from someone else and made it worse. I don't know how he did that.
Well, this is unlike the other one. This is actually not. This is not King Broad Stomp. This is regular Suns. So they do their impact hits and whatnot. It's also Taker Tribe, so they get to pick another artifact after deployment and put it on the Beast Smasher. So they can kind of tailor that a little bit to whatever their opponent is doing. That's why they've picked a Manifestation Lore, because they might take the Glowy Lantern, and if they do, then they get to cast that one. But if they don't, then they don't get to cast that. They also, unlike the other list that had 4 spread out babies, they have 1 Man Crusher on its own, and they have 3 babies in a mob for the better impact hits, and because there's 1 unit to activate. The only notes here: War Stomper has Extra Calloused Feet, which is the artifact that you can only take in regular Suns, which just makes their foot attacks truly, truly disgusting. I think they go to like 7 attacks that are 3 rend with anti-infantry after that, and that are D3 plus 1 damage a pop, and that's just their foot attacks, not all their other attacks. So just makes the War Stomper really good into everything instead of just into big blocks of infantry.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, no notes.
Yeah, no, absolutely awesome. Let's drop down to our last list of the night with Travis Dale, and we are ending it with Stormcast.
This is the Nuclear Prosecutor build. It's basically you use Ionis, just try to stack up a ton of, get the +1 attack buffs, put that on prosecutors, put the 2 prosecutors forward, have I think it's Gardas drop in, give them another thing, have Tornus drop in behind so they can retreat, so they can leave combat at the end of the turn, give them like 5 attacks each, hitting on 2s and 3s. Lord Terminos. He's probably not going to be able to follow them in unless he just long bombs a charge after they go in. But it's still like you have 2 nuclear missiles, a good priest who's also a dragon, questors and reclusions as a little base. This is kind of, rather than like regular Stormcast good stuff, this is Stormcast that has 2 big missiles that just try to go all in and delete something, and then you have to deal with the dragon on the back half.
It still has a Reclusion squad to mop up stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Too. That's probably what's
so the Reclusion Terminos and Ionis are just kind of sit back, and the other things are just going to throw themselves all in and try to eliminate key pieces.
No, Stormcast good stuff. We've seen it before. We're going to keep seeing it because it works, right? So
yep.
That is
as a big advocate of Stormcast good stuff. It's good.
Shadowhunter 28
played it for
also
years.
Points out, don't forget about Finest Hour, making them 2s and 2s.
Sure.
Yeah, 2s and 2s, 5 aboard. Like it, the Reclusion bomb is not Reclusion. The Prosecutor bomb. There's a reason they went up to 300 points.
Yeah,
right.
Like they're really good.
Also, for all the Stormcast players, please remember Finest Hour. Many tournaments
don't.
people forget, like turn 3, they're like, oh, I do have that ability, don't I? So,
I'm not playing them this time.
right. Okay, so that's all 64 lists. All 8 teams of 8 players have been reviewed. Nick, off the top of your head, man, what was your favorite list tonight?
Let's be real. I have a very soft spot for the Kragnos and all pigs.
Mhm.
I think that one is very fun and going to do a lot of work, and people aren't used to pigs like actually mattering again and Fasten being back. So I think probably that.
Okay, all right. Murray, we went over 64 of them. What was your favorite?
64. That's that. I would
Just
honestly
one of them.
say it's the 3 Brood Terror list. I don't know. I don't know what it is about Brood Terrors, but they're fun. They look fun.
Okay. 3 Brood Terrors. You know,
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool list. 3 Brood Terrors and a bear is sick. Ryan, what was yours?
My list, obviously. No, I would have to say it's hard for me to pick. It's both corn. It's 2 corn lists. It's the 4 Bloodthirster list, with the 2 Wrathcorn Bloodthirsters, or it's the one with the new Scourge of Moran, Blood Crushers. So I think that like the 3 dice tech charge over stuff and giving strike first is some like pretty like cool, interesting tech. I'd be interested in seeing a list that, or like, I'm interested in seeing how that tech plays out on the board.
Okay,
Because
all right.
I liked the synergies that were found there. So those are somewhere between those 2.
We have Tristan Dale in the chat. Taurus does not do the retreat. That's Azeros.
Oh, that's
Taurus
the one.
is
Yeah.
the 3 rally points.
Okay. Well, still makes sense with the list. I was just thinking of the other foot version.
I mean, that's guaranteed Reclusian every time, right?
And also because they can't
Yeah.
hear Chergot, we were being corrected that of what Taurinus the Redeemed does versus the Knight Azeros. Taurinus gives better
Yeah.
rally stuff, and Knight Azeros instead is the one that can do the retreat thing at the end of the turn.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, no.
I've used the Azeros quite a bit, not the Taurus one.
Right. All right. So if I had to pick a favorite list, Ryan beat me to it. I was going to say the 4 Bloodthirster list because that's just sick list,
It is.
Pretty
right?
awesome.
Like,
Having put that list on the
Bloodthirster and their
table,
2
it's
friends.
it's just fun. It's like having played that list, it does play just like Mega Gargants, but it's like murder Gargants because you actually you don't have as many wounds to just like soak up whatever your opponent's doing. But you have a 5-up ward, which makes it feel a little bit like nicer, and you're way faster, and you can actually rely on your guys to do damage, unlike Gargants.
right.
Unlike Mega Gargants, sometimes they just completely fail you. Bloodthirsters sometimes will fail you, but it's way less often. Typically, you'll get a some output out of them,
Eh,
and they won't whiff as bad.
You have a Boomthirster, and the potential for the big funny
Yeah.
is there. We all want the big funny from the Boomthirster.
The big funny's not as big funny as it used to be. The big
No,
funny used
but
to
it
be
is still-
big funny, but it's still funny.
As someone who got on the recipient of the Boomthirster, hitting 4 of them in a turn last week, yeah, it is still very, very funny.
Still hurts. Still hurt. Yeah, still hurts having 8 mortal wounds done in the bubble around you. Just not
happy
quite as
stop
bad as
wrestling
when it
here.
was like 16. It's like-
right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's all 64 lists. That's everything reviewed. For those that stuck with us from start to end, you guys are the champs. To our 2 new followers, love it. Thank you so much. I believe it was Toji and Mechrat were our followers. And for the few people over on the Big Red Button side, thank you for following us there. If you have it, free Prime subs, or if you just want a sub, go ahead and give us a sub. Do it on YouTube. It's free and fun. We upload MCP and AOS content. We're going to do a lot more AOS content now that the new Battle Scroll and GHB are out, and the game is alive and fun again. Thank you
No
to
more
my 3
bodyguard.
right. Thank you to my 3 guest hosts from San Antonio. Not exactly San Antonio, but they're definitely Slam Bros.
Yes.
So
Yep.
That's what that's what matters. That's what matters.
right. That's what
Slambo's
matters.
Slambo's on the jersey. That's what matters. Slambo's on
Yeah.
So, for everyone else here, have a good night. You three be safe on your road trip. We'll be safe on ours, and let's get out of here. We all got a busy
yeah.
weekend ahead of us.
I gotta start. I gotta start
yeah.
packing.
I got a lot of things I got to put.
I need to keep
on
painting.
for
I need
tomorrow.
to I need to paint my terrain piece. How tactics work again?
Yeah. We'll talk about it on the drive. We'll talk about it on the drive.
Okay.
All right, and one last thing. Everyone, remember to stay weird. Good night,
Yeah.
guys.
Good night.